Welcome to another episode of Working Class. This week, I sat down with my good friend and fellow workers' rights lawyer, Paige. Paige is famous for her helpful advice that she posts about your rights at work, and I have a chance to talk about her life and her business as a workers' rights attorney. Come along for our Q&A after the show. It's so funny because people say nice things about me to you. They say nice things about me to her, but to my face, everyone's a dick.
That's how it always is. That's how it always is. Do I put these on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Enter the Matrix.
Never done this before.
That's what they all say.
Sam, does this look cute? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Do I need to move my hair?
Cute.
Okay. Thank you. I told her I'm like, I need a Samantha.
You like the sidekick?
Yeah, just like a security blanket. Because I was like,
Oh.
the Uber guy, I feel like we're kind of similar.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad.
No, but I mean, like, because I'm also don't know what I'm doing.
I've been to that airport so many times. I was like, wait, how do I explain how to get to the lift area? And I was like,
I figured
That lift situation is chaos.
Okay, it is.
it was.
It's chaos. And then like Uber always says, oh, go to zone P, go to zone O.
Yeah.
And you look and it's like zone O is right by the terminal where the baggage claim is. But where the cars really meet you is that secret spot inside the garage.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you through that.
Oh, well, I figured it out. So everyone's so nice here that I was literally like, where do I go? And they would tell me. So that was nice.
The relative lack of humidity makes people a little happier.
That was the coolest thing when I got off the plane. I was like, oh my God, I can breathe without like
Isn't that crazy?
a weight on my chest.
It's funny because this is actually like really humid for us. Like I was actually a little embarrassed. I
That's
was
so
like,
funny.
oh, our San Diego weather, it's kind of humid today. That's not going to be good.
Wow,
But
this is do better, Ryan.
I know it's my fault. I left the humidifier on, but that's when I come home from Texas, the first thing I do when I step off the plane is just
Yeah, I could see how you would do. I was talking to my Uber driver and I'm like, we are lucky in Missouri to get maybe 4 days a year like this weather. And he's like saying the same thing, like, this isn't the best, like, whatever. And I'm like, I think it's great.
he said what I said.
Yeah,
he
he
said,
did.
actually, this is kind of shitty.
Yeah, he did. He's like, you can make the most of it by going over here and everything. So, one thing I want to ask you too. Do you want me to be looking at you or like talking? Where do you want me to be
I want you
looking
to keep your eyes down.
Down?
Down. Don't
Okay.
make eye contact with
Oh
me.
my God.
No, you look wherever the hell
so
you
I'll
want.
turn this way. No, I'm kidding.
You can look wherever you want. You're
Okay,
fine. No, like
okay.
literally just do whatever the fuck you
Okay,
want.
I'll calm down now.
And then
I'll
just
calm
get that mic about 4 to 6 inches away. And we're
Scoot up.
Perfect.
Is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
What else do I do?
Be taller.
You can put it down or up, however.
No, you can move. Look, it'll move.
Is this
wherever.
okay?
Yeah, you can.
Wow.
You can
It's not
smack it.
a little bit light.
This is so official.
Isn't it?
You're talking to someone who only does stuff on her phone.
Dude, that's what I was doing forever. And then I was like, well, what if we tried a little harder and see what happens? And almost nothing has changed, but it's more fun.
Yes. Yeah, it looks cool.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, welcome to my hometown.
Yes,
I'm really
thank you for
glad
having
you're here.
me. I'm so excited, especially with all of my difficulties of getting here. So
How
thanks for
long
not
did we try to get you here?
thanks for not blacklisting me.
I was this close.
Oh. I loved it when we were talking before coming this time, and you were like, and I was like, hopefully I don't have to get my gallbladder out this time. And you're like, do it on your own time. We already have everything booked.
I'm so sorry.
No, I thought it was hilarious.
That was so crazy last time. So when did you realize your appendix was exploding?
So I made dinner that night. I was just hanging out at home with my boyfriend. It was one of my favorite meals, which is important because I puked forever. So now I can't ever eat it again because it grosses me out now.
Oh, because like when you get sick, like
Yeah,
you think of
my
the food,
body's like, this was bad. Don't
and
eat
all
it. Yeah.
food bad.
So
what was the
yeah,
meal?
food bad. Like so it's just like the smoked sausage and vegetables and stuff that I like. My boyfriend's convinced that because I ate broccoli that night is why it had to get removed. Because I'm like, there's no way. That's
Of course, broccoli is the problem.
not the fat
of
in
all
the sausage.
things. Not
it's
the
the
sausage.
broccoli. Yeah.
I can't eat sausage either for the same reason. I got super sick on it a while ago.
Really?
And now I used to love
Twins.
it, but I can't even really look at kielbasa anymore without.
I can't eat. That
getting
almost
a
just made
little-
me like regurgitate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that night, like it progressively just got worse and worse. I've never had anything like this happen either. And so I was like, finally, I'm puking. I can't get comfortable. It was so much pain. And I'm like, I think you need to take me to the hospital. So he knew it was serious because I
Like stomach
refused
pain?
to go to the hospital. Yeah, it was like up here. It hurt so bad. It was bloated, like right under my rib cage. And so he knew it was serious when I was like, can you take me? And then he got freaked out and we just flew to the hospital. And they immediately, as soon as the surgeon got in at 7, they were like, take it out.
Like immediately, like this thing's got to come right out of you.
Yeah, they were like,
no
well, because-
pause, no delay,
So
just
this is
into
how
it.
much I'm like hospital adverse, which was so funny while I was listening to Lindsay's episode because I was so paranoid they would think I just wanted pills
Well, you
it's
do,
invisible.
but that's not the main reason.
But you know, like it's an invisible pain. I'm like, they're just gonna have to take. So I didn't even say anything. I was worried that they would, because I'm like, it hurts. It's like level 9, like it hurts, but I haven't had qualifying everything.
Really?
And then finally the guy's like, no, they confirmed it needs to come out. You can have some pain medicine. I was like, thank you.
Oh my God.
I was just so scared because of what she was talking about. So it was like calming to hear that she's like, that's not my job. I don't care. Like I'm here to help you get treatment. And I was like, I should have just said that up front.
You should have.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that when they ask how much pain you're in, you just say 10. Just say 10.
Yeah, it was a 10. It's a 10 for me. Yeah.
And of course, the one person who's actually at a 10, you're like, oh, it's a 9. I'll go home.
And I was
don't
like
wanna bother
puking in a
anybody.
cup during like the, it was so bad while they're asking me my, address and stuff. And I'm like, can you just answer them? I'm like dying.
Well, how long did the recovery take?
Longer than I thought, because I've never had surgery like that before. And I am really bad about, like having downtime. So
Yeah, you get antsy.
yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah. And so I had a really hard time not doing things, but it would literally be like I couldn't sit up anymore because it hurt. So then I would quit working and take a nap or something.
Do you have to do like PT to get your abdomen functional?
I
again?
probably should have, but I do
some
my
sit-ups
own
later.
PT. I'm a DIY queen. I will YouTube it and figure it out. But yeah, now it's like pretty much back to normal. I overdid it like way too early on. And I was like, I'm going to go for my walk. And I immediately was like, can you come pick me up?
Oh
like
my
I'm
God.
dying.
How far did you get before you realized you'd made a horrible mistake?
I don't know. So my normal track I don't know how quite long it is, but I was about halfway when I was like, I wish someone could just pick me up.
Oh my God.
It was a 30-minute walk that I did.
That's sketch too, because if you're like already kind of weakened and you're out there by yourself, like not to freak you out, but you could like
I'm the
faint
most
or
yeah, freak me out. Yeah. I'm so paranoid because I was freaking out. I watch way too much true crime. So I was like, someone could easily take me right now and I couldn't even fight them off.
No, I have the same thought sometimes when I feel like sick or fluish and I'm on my walk. I'm like, I need to keep my head on a swivel because I am not winning any fights. Like a grandma could kidnap me right now.
Yeah,
I'm not doing good.
Right. I get the same way. I get so paranoid about everything, though, outside of that situation. So that did not help at all.
Well, being a litigator and one of the more aggressive ones I know, don't you feel like naturally kind of feisty? Like, do you feel like you look for conflict in your daily life?
Yes and no. So my therapist says that I'm allowed to be aggressive for a purpose.
You're allowed to be aggressive for a purpose.
Yeah, I'm allowed to be mean to people rather than just being mean to everybody because I'm stressed or mad or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a list that I go through of it's my shit list.
Really?
And people go on there if they piss off me or Samantha, they usually know who they are.
Are you saying you maintain a list of names?
Yes, with contact information.
Oh
and if,
my God.
And if I'm in a bad mood, Ryan, I just am like, I'm going to call this motherfucker right now. And then I just get it out of my system and I'm in a great mood the rest of the day.
Are these opposing counsels? These aren't like random members of the public.
They're not clients. I do want to say that. I never would do that to like a client or potential client. They're usually like opposing counsels, Sam's adjusters that won't get back to her.
Person.
Or like someone who won't give me the records because they want me to pay. And I'm not like, there's always some reason where they're, I think it's justified, of course, but she said that that's okay.
I think that's super smart because that's actually what I tell my associates at my firm. I said, every week do something for your case. Even if it's like we're a lull, we're waiting for a ruling on something, every week, just go start some shit. Go poke them in the eye.
You got to poke the bear, man. You got to keep things going.
Just be a problem.
Yeah.
Because like the best litigators are the ones who are a big problem for the defense.
And the squeaky wheel gets the oil. I'll have my
1,000%.
most relaxed case where I'm like, I don't know that I'm confident that we'd win that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be a pain in the ass to find out. And they'll pay you when you're annoying, you know?
Exactly. Like no one writes a fat settlement check for the really easy case that they forget about. That's just not how it is. Like you want to get defense counsel going, please, for the love of God, settle with these people. This Paige chick is insane. Get her off of me. She ripped her own appendix out. I don't know what she's capable of.
That's what I want. That's perfect. I want them to dread when they see us enter on something.
So this is a practice that started because you were having a little problem controlling rage. Is that what I'm hearing?
I do have anger issues, which is I've had great, very helpful therapy for that.
No one would expect that. I don't think.
Really?
You're, I think, easily one of the top 3 most beloved attorneys on Instagram. Easily. You might be number 1, but you're easily in the top 3.
That's news to me.
Easily. People love you, but I've seen you like bite back at people. So how much of that is you holding back and how much of this is just natural rage?
I've had a lot of therapy recently, so it's not holding back anymore. It's just I have better ways to manage it. Like my breathing that we do or my affirmations. Because we got to the root of part of my problems of why I would lash out at people.
Yeah.
Is because I was like stressed and I freak out over time. My biggest thing is like, I'm not going to have enough time to do what I want to do. So one of my affirmations is I have plenty of time to do everything I need to do.
This sounds healthy.
It is.
When did you realize
This is my healthy era.
that I love this for
Me
you.
too. Thank
I
you.
love this journey for you. When did you realize it was time to make a change?
Oh, it was like a slow kind of process where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm being insane.
Really?
I was being crazy to everyone I care about, family, my boyfriend, poor Samantha. I was literally like, that's when I was like, okay, something needs to change. Actually, my sweet boyfriend came home and he's like, I looked up our policy and you can get, talk to someone if you want to. And I was like, okay, I'll go.
Oh my God.
So then I did.
So what do you mean you were just being crazy towards people? Like you were being short with them, yelling at them? Where was the problematic behavior?
I was just barking at everyone. I didn't even like myself. Like I was just being mean to clients and potential clients and people on the internet I was so defensive. You know how easy it is to get like that where we're used to reading a comment and just expecting it's negative and it's not. Sometimes it's not. So that's actually another one of my affirmations. I'm supposed to give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
100%.
And I told everyone that so that they'll hold me accountable. So when I do it in a comment now, people will literally say that. And I'm like, you're right. Sorry.
It's so funny you say that because I have the same problem and I'm working on it too, because we're so used to the hate online that I'll see a video or I'll see a comment and it'll say, nice video, buddy. And in my head, I'm like, nice video, buddy. I'm like, hey, fuck you too, man.
You do better.
Make your own damn video. Yeah, exactly.
That's what
and then I realized like, hey, that's just like a guy saying, hey, nice video, buddy. Like I should chill out. And then also as attorneys, we're so used to arguing that anytime someone says something shitty in our comments, like my brain says that's an invitation to jump in the ring and start clapping back at people. But that's not a normal way to be a human. Humans weren't meant to just argue with each other all the time. And what is to be gained?
It's exhausting.
And what do you gain for it? It's you tell off user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 3 more pop up saying that you suck. I mean, nothing was accomplished.
This is why I love our friendship because you totally get it when this kind of thing happens too. Is because it is easy to get defensive because we do get a lot of hate comments or like weird things. But so I had to get a lot of therapy for that too, to not want to be right and give them the benefit of the doubt. Or now where I like before, one of my favorite things used to do would be to blast someone. Did I ever tell you we got death threats for doing that? That I got a death threat for that?
Tell us about that. Actually, let's pause real quick. I want to talk about the death threats for the very few people who don't know who you are. This is Lawyer Paige. She's one of my good friends. We've known each other for years. She's a fellow workers' rights attorney, also does personal injury. Tell everyone what you do in case I missed something there. Yeah.
So I am very fortunate to be able to do all plaintiff employment law. I get to do the cases I want, only the cases I want. And Samantha, my law partner, she does like debt collection cases, personal injury cases. And we started a law firm together so we could do whatever we want. And so every once in a while, like I have a civil rights case right now for a First Amendment rights violation, which obviously is not employment law, but it's really cool that we're just kind of doing things that make us happy now.
I love that because that's a case you're not doing necessarily for fees, but because you really
I'm not going to make any money on it, but it's just like for fun.
No, I love that. And so you're a founder and part owner of Sparks Law. And do you still bartend on weekends? Is that still happening?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because don't you think that's like a rite of passage for attorneys is that you have to have done some bartending before you can?
I never did any bartending.
Oh, really?
I always felt like I was missing something.
People in my comments are saying that. I know Rev has and everything.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of like the gateway to being like.
What is it about bartending that naturally leads to being an attorney? Why is it a rite of passage for you?
So I'm so glad you asked me this because I did bartending. So I was so burnt out when I quit my job and started a law firm. I didn't even want to be a lawyer anymore. I hated it. It was not rewarding. I'm like, I ruined my life by going to law school and getting in all this debt and I don't even like it. Like, what am I going to do?
Wow.
And so part of what we did when Samantha and I started our new law firm is I just needed to have a break because I hated it. I was being mean to everyone. And so I bartend at my favorite bar, my favorite hole in the wall bar. It's in Treelore, Missouri.
If you say Applebee's, I'm going to throw this chair at you.
No. Actually, when you and Gabby come visit, I'm like, I'm going to bring them to Treelore because it is so perfect. Like I'm like a hometown chick, you know, like we love the backwoods where you just drive your side by side up there and they give you a beer to go pretty much.
And
like,
this is St. Louis, Missouri. Well, not St. Louis.
Well, this is in Treelor. So this is actually like probably like an hour and a half outside of St. Louis, and it's more rural.
In Missouri.
And so I loved it because nobody knew me. I didn't have to talk to anyone. Nobody wanted anything from me. All these farmers would come in on their lunch and get a bunch of drinks and buy me drinks. And it was the best reset I could have possibly done.
This sounds like the plot of a Hallmark movie. Big city lawyer rediscovers her roots in anonymity at a little hole in the wall bar.
Loved it. It was no pressure.
Please tell me you met your boyfriend there. Strapping man.
No, but he did come visit me there. He did come visit me plenty of times there. I think to make sure I didn't meet any other boyfriends there.
Oh my God. That's funny.
No, everyone knows each other. It's just a real small town local. And it would be so funny because so I don't know how familiar you are with like farming and things like that.
Do I look like I'm familiar with
That's
farming?
why I said that. So I also barely know enough to be dangerous. But so one time I showed up to do bartending and it was like a Friday and I would do my legal work during the week and I would bartend every Friday. And that was like my vacation fun day, you know?
Yeah. It's fun to like almost try on a different life. Like let's leave the lawyer shit at the door and just be someone else.
And I get bored. So I have to keep doing all these different things or I get stagnant and bored, which is probably something I need more therapy for. But we'll get to that when we get to
I'll bill you for this. This counts. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it was a long week. I'm going to go bartend and it's raining. No one comes in when it's raining, right? Well, apparently every farmer within like a 20-mile radius comes in when it's raining because they can't
just
work.
Gets slammed. Oh, because they can't go out.
I had no
they just
idea.
let nature water the crops.
Yeah. And so they're like, nothing else to do but sit here and drink a 30-pack with you. And I'm like, great. So I came in that day so just like zoned out and ready to go. And it was like the best time because there's like 20 old farmers just giving you their wisdom. And then it was so funny because like we're all like drunk, okay, talking. And
wait, you're on the clock and you're drunk?
No. But not at that time, but later, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all talking and they found out I was a lawyer. One of them said, and I'm like,
shouldn't have let that slip.
Yeah, I was like, this was my like safe place. And so they started in their own cute, like old farmer way being like, well, what do I do if this happens? What do I do if I get pulled over on the way? And I used to do DWI defense, which I hated. But so I know, enough about that. And I was like, well, if this happens, if you do this and you blow, this could happen, but you could lose your license if you don't. And it was the cutest thing, Ryan, because they were all like, what? And like taking everything in. And I was like, this is so fun.
That's so fun. First of all, I hope you put the law firm number on like coasters or something.
Oh, no, because I don't want to do that.
Great way to meet clients if you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But did anyone ever come to you and say, hey, hypothetically, let's say I had 3 or 4 bodies buried in my farm. Just what would I do?
So it's funny you say that. I did get a lot of business because from bartending. Yeah. No, just like in general, like actually like their farm questions or business law and I'd help them get connected with someone. But I would get a lot because it's so tight knit of a community that once you're trusted to refer things to, they will keep you fed, So that's kind of what happened from bartending there. We were able to help a lot of people.
I like this because the main part of your bartending journey, it was something you've done for a while, but you really went to it when you quit your law firm job.
Yeah. Because I just was like needing extra money and I'm, that's terrifying to not have a paycheck.
That is scary. Well, bartending, I mean, honestly, if you play your cards right, you can do really well.
Yeah, for sure. Those farmers take care of me because like they would also like that cute stuff where I would remember what they drank kind of, or I'd mess it up and they'd be like, don't you know? And I'm like,
It's a sitcom.
Yeah.
I wish we had cameras for this.
Well, it's funny you say that because I have this idea, Ryan, where I think we should do like little jobs, non-lawyer things like that to show people behind the scenes stuff. How funny would that be if you came and bartended that and got like harassed by farmers and were like, by the way, did you know this law? Like, I think that's what I was doing.
That's so funny you brought that up. Did you and I already talk about the thing we're trying to do here?
I don't think so.
God, here I am doing it on air in front of everybody, but we're working towards a show and the show is going to be called Working Class. And it's exactly that. It's workers' rights attorneys
genius.
Try on things like today, Attorney Ryan is a garbage man.
Okay. Well, everyone heard I said it out loud first, right?
You're welcome to do the trash run with me. If you want to come with me, it'd be hilarious.
Think it would be so funny. And because I was talking with my Samantha about this, about how I was like, wouldn't it be fun if we even went to like a strip club? Because they're misclassified all the time. Obviously, I'm not going to be stripping.
Are you
No.
gonna
But they have like waitress girls. I could do that with enough clothes on.
Yeah, that's how it's going to start. I don't know how it's going to end.
But I think that would be such a cool concept to expose things of different fields of the most common legal violations.
I freaking love the idea. This is exactly what we had in mind. So it sounds like you want to be on.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to do this together.
I thought it would be super fun for exactly that, because, you know, people underestimate how hard like basic, quote unquote, basic jobs are.
Totally.
Like people will roll their eyes and say, oh, you're a bartender, you work at In-N-Out. Like how hard could it be? But it's like you've never been slammed at an In-N-Out with 30, 40
You've never
irate
cried
customers.
in the walk-in freezer.
Yeah, you're like crying in the walk-in freezer. You've got to make 1,000 hamburgers and, you know, someone didn't show up and the manager's losing. It's high pressure.
Everyone needs to go through that, I think.
Everyone needs to go through that, because I can't stand, like, just because someone went to college and works at Goldman Sachs and does finance, they think that they're better than someone who has a job that pays less. But it's like, there is a lot of stress.
Yeah, you probably couldn't do that job. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you look down on someone's problems? Like the bartender having a meltdown because there's 20 people barking at them at once. That's a really normal response.
Oh, yeah.
To 20 angry drunk people yelling at you.
Yeah, especially when they're like, can I have a lemon drop? And you're like, no.
I'm going to give you a Sunny Delight with tequila and you're going to shut up.
Yeah, I'm going to put some lemonade and vodka and put some sugar on the top and you're going to love it.
If they're already drunk, they're not going to notice the difference. That's just fine.
It's for your own good.
It is for their own good. Let's go back a little bit, because I remember when I first saw you on TikTok, I was just so impressed. You were so confident, and I had no idea.
Which is so funny, because you know it doesn't feel that way when you're doing it.
I know that things are deceiving. This was years ago when I first saw you on my For You page on TikTok. I think you were like in a park and you were talking about how to deal with cops, I think. And I just remember thinking like, wow, look at this really incredible lawyer. She's so confident. And I looked at your page and you had, I think, 120,000 followers at the time.
Which was a lot to me. To me,
it was a lot. At the time, I had like 300 followers on TikTok. And I was looking at you. It was like, oh my God, she's a rock star.
That's so funny.
And it's funny because you've grown so much since then. But at the time, I had no idea you weren't happy at work. I had no idea.
Really?
None.
So TikTok and doing those videos was literally my lifeline. Because I was so unhappy. I hated my job. I was working. Did I ever tell you how much I made my first year as a lawyer? Guess what my salary was.
What was your salary in your first year as an attorney?
That I had to negotiate for, I would like to add.
You had to ask for this.
$40,000.
Get the...
No benefits. Worked like a dog. But that's what...
$40K, no benefits. Bonuses?
Theoretically, if cases got moved and settled, or so
that's fucking criminal.
I agree. I agree.
And it's like, I'm not
but
saying,
when it happens to you, I'm a first generation lawyer. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what to do.
Did you have an expectation of, well, let's dial this back. When you went to law school, what was your motivation? Were you hoping to make a 6-figure salary like
I didn't know
people say you could do?
I come from like very humble background. So 40,000 to me is probably really different than 40,000 to you. So at the time, St. Louis legal culture is super small and tight knit. Mm-hmm. And they have, unfortunately, it's getting better because of, how the change we saw after the pandemic where people don't take the shit anymore.
People really learned to stand up to their bosses. People got sassy after the pandemic.
Love it. Do it more.
It's kind of awesome.
Be sassier. But so it's starting to change, but it is literally a common thing. I've talked to lots of lawyers who have had this. This is not unique to me in St. Louis, that you're told you should be happy with your $35,000 out of law school job. You don't know how to do anything. We're going to have to show you everything. You're going to cost us money. Shut up. I had to do it. You have to do it too. And it's such a bad mentality to have.
Wait, they're saying you're going to cost us money. Shut up. Do what we tell you to do. You don't know what you're doing. So they're already starting
You're undervaluing your new associate. Yeah.
Would you want to be on a team where your teammates are telling you suck?
No, I didn't. That's why I quit.
That's horrible.
But it's not unique to me. This is what really happens there, because they're able to get these new associates out of law school who are grateful for any job, because it's hard.
It is tough out there.
Especially when you don't have any experience. And so my plan was get some experience on my resume, get out. And then the pandemic happened. So I started working from home. And that was literally the only reason I didn't quit.
Because you got to
2 years.
at least get out of the office.
Yeah.
Let's go back one more time here.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm talking in circles.
So what were you doing before law school?
Like before I went to law school for work?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've always had like 20 jobs at once. I don't know if you know that about me.
I've noticed. I have, like, if you name a job, I've probably done it. And it's not like I can't hold down a job.
I just would work them all at the same time. So actually, if anyone's listening that's going to go to law school, I think this was genius. I'll just tell a compliment to myself. So before I went to law school, because it's so expensive and you really can't, you're not supposed to work, as much, especially your first year.
It's especially here in San Diego,
It's so
where the
hard.
cost of living is obscene.
I believe it.
There's no way you can't.
So one of my most genius moves I did during law school, I had about 20 to 30 different clients or houses that I would dog and house it for.
Oh.
And so I would literally get paid to stay there. I was never home because I was living in someone's basement because I was broke as fuck.
God.
So I was never home. So, Jay-Z said, if you can't make money while you're sleeping, you're never going to be rich. And I was like, I'm going to do it with house sitting while I'm going to law school.
You're a genius. Wait a minute. This is so smart. So you saved on housing costs because you're just going basement to basement.
They were paying me to be there. So I had no rent. I had no costs. I was paying next to nothing to keep my stuff in someone's basement.
Wow.
And I literally was like couch surfing pretty much.
This is house hacking. I am so sick.
I was really smart in my
bros saying, "Oh yeah, you got to buy a house, rent one room, and then keep the other for yourself, cash flow, bro." It's like, no, that's not possible for most people. But house sitting, that's genius.
I think every law student, if you can do that, it's extra easy money. You're going to be sleeping and need a place anyway. Like, go freaking house.
You had free housing and you had therapy dogs, and you got paid for both of these.
Yeah, got paid to do all. Usually, it was like awesome houses too. So then I pretend I was rich.
There you go. You're saying, look, I'm in law school right now, but one day I'm gonna have a house just like this.
So like if you ever see my old videos and it's like a really cool house, that is not my house.
I just assumed you were a baller.
No. Yeah, I just have 10 houses. No.
Of course. How were you as a law student?
Okay, so did you have a similar experience? So I never had to try that hard in undergrad, which was great because I worked at a gas station, Quick Trip. If anyone likes,
you worked at a Quick Trip.
I'm a Quick Trip. That was my favorite job I've ever had.
Really?
Besides what I'm doing now, yeah.
It's funny you say that because a lot of people look at like their gas station convenience store life and say, "Oh, it's the worst part." But people can have the same experience. I think it depends
on your gas station. Quick Trip is like the golden, standard for gas station treatment to the employees. I mean,
I thought Buc-ee's was number one.
Oh, I don't know. I've never worked there yet.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should find out.
We should.
You want me to apply? Okay. I do like Buc-ee's.
That'll be episode 1. Let's be Buc-ee's associates.
Oh my gosh, that would be so funny. We should also do it, not to go off on a tangent, the interviews and see what kind of interview questions they ask us.
I'm really curious if we will get job offers. It would be really funny to apply for entry-level jobs like that and then them just be like, no, we can't. We can't even get a job. Like here we are thinking we're hot shit because we're lawyers and we can't even get our foot in the door.
Humbling. Yeah, you're right. Maybe
it'd be good for us. So Quick Trip, you liked that job.
I loved working at Quick Trip. So here, when I didn't have to work that hard in college. So I worked 3 jobs literally like every day. And this is what my typical day would look like is I was house sitting. So I'd wake up early, do all the barn chores or whatever, because I have a horse and I'm in the horse world in St. Louis too. So it's really hard to find reliable horse help. So these people would just pay like so well because they wanted to be able to rely on me. So I'd wake up.
Add that to your job list. You're a horse babysitter.
Oh yeah. I made good money doing that. Yeah. Again, do that if you're going to law school, you make so much money. So I would wake up early, do all the barn chores, like clean the stalls, feeding, do all that stuff. Then in my Quick Trip clothes, because then I'd be flying to get to Quick Trip by 6 a.m. I'd work to Quick Trip until 2. Wow. And then I'd go to class in my Quick Trip clothes for an hour or 2 if I had like 1 or 2 classes.
Did you have a chance to shower before class or did you go smelling like horse stables?
Actually, I thought I smelled nice all the time. Yeah.
You get used to it. You know?
I'm very clean at doing things. I'm like OCD about stuff. So I never got dirty. I used to give my horses medicine in my suit, like where he would drip everywhere.
Oh my
and I'm
God.
good at it. Like I'd be like, and then go to court.
That is so funny. I respect the absolute shit out of that. You're waking up at the ass crack of dawn to go clean stables. And then you run to the Quick Trip and do a shift. And then you go to law school.
And then I would go to the clothing shop down on Main Street that I worked at, Moss, which was actually, I just wasted my whole paycheck there on clothes pretty much. But it was like happy. And I could bring my dog to work. He would like sit on the counter. But then I'd work there until they closed at like 6 or 7, or during Christmas, they'd be open until 9. That was and I would change there, obviously.
I've always respected your hustle and I've always looked up to you. But that just, if anyone gives you shit, absolutely no. You absolutely worked your way up.
I did.
Oh my God.
My toxic trait is no one's ever going to outwork me. I'll do whatever I have to do. And that's what I had to do to get through law school because my horse was so expensive. So I was like not only trying to pay my living costs, but this very expensive animal because I was doing competitive show jumping Why was I trying to do it all at the same time?
Everyone needs a hobby, but for someone who is...
But not one where you have to pay $1,200 for a weekend to show.
Yeah, if you're broke and you're going to law school because you're broke, it seems like a bad time to get a horse. I'm not a financial advisor.
I will say the horse is probably the only reason I got through law school, because it was my outlet, like you were saying, for my hobby. But it definitely made the money situation tight sometimes. Like,
That's
made me a little nuts.
So it made things harder, but at the same time, you don't think mentally you would have got through that. Why not?
Do you have pets? Do you have a dog or anything?
I got a couple of family dogs. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, animals are like family to me. Like I like them more than people most of the time. And so the horse was so cool because I could go get my ass chewed by my LRW professor for being an idiot. And then come out to the barn, and he always loved me and did whatever I said, and it was great.
You don't care I didn't blue book my citations, do you?
Thanks doesn't care that I was I forgot about this deadline and I got chewed out for. But
so you didn't have to try hard in undergrad. Did you have to try hard in law school?
Oh my God, yeah. I got a rude awakening in law school because I didn't have to try that hard. I'm like, I can keep doing all these jobs. Like, it's worked so far. Why would I not? Why would I change anything? And I got a rude awakening literally the first week of law school. I'm like, mistakes have been made, Ryan.
Oh, no. What was the rude awakening? When did you realize?
Okay, so I have a confession. Everyone, my law school professor, please don't listen if you're listening. I never read any of the case laws or stuff for class. I would just read it really fast, like super duper fast.
Well, how could you? They assigned like 300 pages of reading like the night before.
That's
why they're so unreasonable.
Yeah, but there were people that acted like they were reading that at least.
I love how you say they acted like they were reading that.
Well, that's
because I didn't know this. My first year of law school, I didn't know like Quimby existed and all these little outlines and stuff. Rough. I was actually doing the reading my first year. Like I actually did do the reading.
And I'm sure you had great grades.
They were right.
I was bottom in the class.
You were bottom?
Because I
wasn't. Didn't finish on the bottom.
I don't know. I'm a lawyer now, so it doesn't matter.
Does it? It's so funny because in law school, it's so hyper competitive and they have
everyone says they're the top of the class and they're not.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you get out of it and you own your own law firm. You're a super famous attorney. I mean, you're on Working Class with Attorney Ryan. Being top of the class didn't seem to matter.
Well, do you know what I did? Actually, another genius move is I made the top of the class my law partner. My sister-in-law.
Sam was top of the class.
Yes.
I can smell that on her a mile away.
She doesn't like to talk about it. She's so humble about it, but she is wicked smart.
It's not. You take one look at that girl and you can tell. There's some people you look at and you can tell they're geniuses.
She is way too smart for her own good. Yeah. And so that's how. So I was bottom of the class. Sam's top of the class. Together we make a whole person.
You're right in the middle.
The perfect amount. No. So I wasn't doing that 300 pages of reading because I'm like, I can just speed read it. I'll be fine. And it's like
How'd
all these concepts. Not freaking well, right? Because I had terrible grades because I still kept all my jobs, like that schedule I just told you. So there was no time for reading.
Were you ever in danger of getting kicked out of the law school?
I was on academic probation. Yeah. And I didn't know what that meant after my first semester. And I asked the poor dean of students. I was like, I'm paying all this money to go here. I'm doing my best. Why did I get D's and everything? Like, what the heck is a curve? I don't know. And so then it all worked out because then I had to cut back. I couldn't work as much. I did actually read a little more. And you know how it like rewires your brain. But when you get there, you're like, what does this term mean? Or what does I react? I had no idea.
Law school completely rewires your brain. It's funny because it does not teach you the practice of law, at least not in any way that I can discern, but it does help you think like a lawyer. And I hate that I'm saying that because that's the bullshit propaganda they say in every law school. But the more I think about it, the more it's really true. You know how doctors do like their residency and things? I think law schools would be way better structured if you had your year to learn how to think like a lawyer because you have to do that. Yeah. First year is when you learn all of your important stuff. I wish I could go back and like pay attention in LRW and not have to like teach myself later. Legal research and writing? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you know how for Samantha, I'm like, is this a short site? Like I did not pay attention in that class. This is why I like state court because everyone's just winging it on their citations. Oh, that's horrifying. Just, you could find the case. It's fine. Yeah. It's trust all me, bro. Yeah. Source, trust me, bro. Yeah. I actually had a lawyer be like, we have case law. We're just not sharing it with you yet because you won't understand it. And I'm like, Is
It's
that
because
Big
it
Law?
doesn't exist.
Was that a Big Law defense
Oh,
attorney?
yeah, for sure.
They love to do that. Like they're like, oh, we have like this really good authority. Like, okay, give it to me.
I literally
You know?
responded back because I'm a little unhinged in the emails to them because it's fun. And so I literally was like, put your money where your mouth is. What's the case law? Or it doesn't exist. And they're like, well, we think we need mediation for this actually.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you better bring your case law to the mediation
bring your
because I'm going
case
to
law.
ask the same question then.
I love this. So you were in law school, you were struggling. It sounds like you came from a low income background.
Yeah. And I think that's why I had such a chip on my shoulder is because I've had to fight for everything and like constantly working and doing all these things. And I was seeing all these people in law school who their dads like own the firm and they already have a job lined up and they're just going straight to there. And
It's
I
hard
was
not to
so
hate that person
resentful.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How
I
did you
still
deal
kind
with
of am
that? Did you actively feel like an outsider in law school?
Yeah. I didn't have a lot of good friends in law school because I didn't like doing the social things. I'm like very introverted anyway. So I didn't make a lot of good friends there. I just kind of skated by, which is weird because St. Louis, you have to have your networking connections to get cases and do all those things.
Yeah.
So I had to like work harder to repair those relationships after law school.
So you were like a lone wolf in school.
Like if I could go back and say, hey, you would have made your life a lot easier if you would have just like gone to a happy hour or been nicer to people or not fought with that girl that did that thing that she did deserve it, but you could have been,
Wait. So you weren't just a lone wolf. You were a little
I've always been this way.
Disagreeable.
I've
with
always been
people?
this way. Yeah.
Wow. It's so funny because you are a successful attorney, but everything you've told me is they tell you is a death sentence in law school. They're telling you build your network. The reputation you set in law school is going to haunt you for a long time. Have you had?
I'm here to tell you that's not true. You can always reinvent yourself. Yeah.
You can always reinvent yourself.
Do you know the people in law school that like I legitimately dislike? Okay. That think I'm so cool because of TikTok now and they'll send cases or they'll want to go out and all this stuff. And so you can always reinvent yourself. Yeah, I had to do it a little differently or work harder but it's not a death sentence. And that's what they make you feel so scared about in law school. But if I could go back to past me and give myself some advice, I would have been like, don't fight in law school with people because that's the hardest thing to recover from.
Yeah. And what is to be gained?
And it's so stressful.
There's
They
nothing to be
create
gained.
that
Yeah.
environment.
I feel bad for in law school. There are people who get really, really cutthroat and they're the ones who are like, oh, I'm going to do big law. I'm going to go do big
That's
law.
who I got
and
into
I'm
very-
going to be top of the class.
That's
And
who I
they're
did not
always
get along with.
I woke up at 4 a.m. and did yoga. And then I did all my case briefs. And you know the type, the gunner. Like,
Oh
really
yeah,
obnoxious.
because that's who I actually got into it with a person like that. And I was like, oh yeah, well, nobody likes you. Do you care about that? Like,
Oh, was this in front of people?
yeah.
That's awesome.
I got in a few. I learned my lesson in law school.
Yeah.
Learn from me. Don't fight with people in law school, no matter what.
It's
not
tough
worth
to
it.
come back from that because
not
I have a
worth
couple
it.
of people I got in little tiffs with in law school too. And then I look back, I'm like, what
I
were this? It
know.
was a stupid
It was
mock
a
trial in front of a
high-stress-
professor. It doesn't matter.
High stress environment. We're all freaking out, and most of the people now I'm friends with them. Like we've been like, sorry, we were both assholes in law school. We were freaking
oh
out.
my God. Yeah.
But it's so hard to come back from that.
It is. Do you feel like you've come back from that?
I think so. Or at least let me put it this way. I don't care about that anymore. You know what I mean? Because I'm so busy doing my own stuff now that it
Yeah.
doesn't haunt me anymore.
I think as you get busier, the little petty drama between people, it tends to go away. I think that when people hyper focus on their little personal
I agree.
conflicts with people, it's because you're not busy or things
You're
aren't
not
going
even
well
on
for
my
you.
radar. Yeah.
Well, if things aren't going well for you, you tend to hyper focus on your relationships with people because that's one of the few things that you have that's going
Can
on.
control. Yeah.
And it's not a judgment. That's just a natural spiral. People are not doing well sometimes.
Yeah.
And it amplifies your problems when you're not doing well.
And then in law school, everyone's like top of the class, doing the best, and you're never allowed to see anyone see you struggle. I feel like it's kind of the
Faking it.
yes,
Like everything is
everyone's an
fine.
imposter syndrome person in law school, but nobody talks about it.
Well, the zero-sum game of law school is probably a metaphor for capitalism. Just going to put that out there. It's in law school. It's if I get a B plus, this is how the curve works in law school. If I get a B plus in law school, I took that B plus away from everyone else. There are a finite number of B pluses
Isn't
to go
that
around.
bullshit?
It is bullshit.
We should all be able to get a B if we earned a B.
I was talking about this with Reb on here, where you could theoretically get every question right on an exam in
But
law
everyone
school
else did
and
too.
still fail that exam.
That's so funny
And
that
non-law
you say
students
that.
don't understand this. You can get everything right and still fail.
That was my best grade in law school is because everyone else failed.
Really?
I got a B on a contracts exam.
Mhm.
No business getting that B, but everyone else failed it. And he did like a true curve.
Really?
Yeah, it was great.
Do you think that there's any merit to that system? Because the zero-sum game that we see in law school, it creates assholes, in
I
my
agree.
opinion.
Yeah.
There are lawyers who I do not work with because they really think like, oh, if Ryan is big on Instagram, that means he's taking followers from me. Or, oh, if Ryan gets a case, that means he's getting business from me.
That's such a
And
dumb
that's
way
such
to think.
horseshit.
Yeah.
Two of my really good friends here in town who own their own law firms, we compete with each other. We're in the same space, but we
friendly
collaborate.
competition.
We collaborate. We work together because we know there's enough business to go around and we're all better for it. But in law school, when we teach like, oh, if you get that client, you just took it from everyone else.
Yeah, they do make it way
That
too
creates really
unnecessarily
sad, lonely
cutthroat.
lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like when we're advocating for our client, should be cutthroat. We need to go hard and we need to prove our case.
And that's the thing too that I had to learn after law school is like you do want those friendships for when you need help getting in a court appearance because you have a conflict or you need a document you've never written before and don't know what to do. And so those are things that they don't teach you in law school. I think the grading system is bullshit. I get why they do it kind of because everyone would, I mean, like you go from being an undergrad and like probably one of the smartest people in the room, little effort, to you're in a room full of only those people. And so everyone would get an A theoretically. So I get why they have the concept, but I think it needs to be reworked.
It absolutely does. Cause I remember my first, oh God, this was rough. It was my first midterm ever in law school. I believe I got something like a 6 out of 25
So
or
traumatic.
something.
Yeah.
But it was exactly that. I had studied with a group and we had the same answers, just their answers were marginally better than mine, even though we were all technically correct. And so I got absolutely wrecked. And that I remember.
Which one is the most right?
And I went to my shitty little room that I was renting with like 6 or 7 other people in this house. And I just like sat in that room and I was like, what am I doing? Like I gave up a good career. I was a firefighter. I had everything going for me.
Everyone has that moment.
And I gave it up and I just flunked my first exam in my first year of this. Like, what did I do I thought I ruined my life.
Yeah.
It was scary.
That is a, what are they calling on TikTok now? A canon event. We cannot interfere.
It's a canon.
But so I get a lot of messages on Instagram from people saying that. And they will say things like, thank you for talking about that because it's happening to me. And I suspect it's happening to other people. But, law school, nobody talks about it. And it just was really validating. And I'm like, it made them feel better to hear that I was bottom of the class on academic probation.
I'm glad that you have the courage to say that because I think that there are people who would tune into this
That's
podcast
why I do
because they like you and look up to you.
I don't like talking about this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like talking about how dumb I was once. But if someone else can learn something from my struggle, have at it.
I think that's the big takeaway here because failure is not final. And I think I didn't have any money going into law school. I was super not doing well when I went into law school. In a way, I feel like law school saved my life. Like my life was not doing good when I started. No, it wasn't doing good at all. I left the fire service. I applied to a bunch of schools, got into zero schools after quitting fire to go to law school.
That would be so offensive.
Fucked my self-esteem for like 2 years.
Wow.
And I worked at a gym. I did landscaping. I was doing some light construction. I worked at some corporate office for a minute and I had no money. It was not good.
Rough.
And then I went into law school and I still had no money. And then I flunked my first exam. So I was not feeling like a winner. I definitely didn't think I would ever own a law firm or be any kind of success. I was really concerned that I had fucked myself. And I share that because there are people listening who have taken a big shot at something and failed at the first shot.
It's okay to fail.
It is. But it doesn't feel okay in the moment. I want to recognize
you learn the most when you do fail.
Oh, yeah. You learn the most. I think when people hear that, failure's not final, push yourself up, they might think, well, this time's different. You don't realize how badly I fucked up. Yeah. And it's like, no, we fucked up pretty bad.
Take your time, lick your wounds, get up the next day and go do something else that makes you happy.
Exactly. And you had a similar experience where you came from no money. It sounds like we were
I think that's why we're friends is because we can like we're not like silver spoon babies who are like, what do you mean?
I know. And I think we both have chips on our shoulder. It's something I deal with because I know it makes me a less pleasant person. And so I have to police it too. But I think most people who come from a background of not having everything and then having to fight for what you get this chip on your shoulder.
I think that's why our clients like us though, Ryan, is it's relatable. We've worked in the gas station alongside them. We know what it's like to get cut your hours. And it's like some lawyers, this is what I would hear. People I'd sign up, they'd be like, my damages, they said they wouldn't take the case because I was only making $12 an hour. And I'm like, that's okay. I get my attorney's fees. I don't care.
Yeah.
But there are so many people who don't have that background who the client can't trust because they don't get it.
There's a lot of employment lawyers out there who should not be employment lawyers.
I agree.
I'm not saying that you can't be a good one if you've never worked a minimum wage job or never had a shitty boss or anything, but it really helps to have been in your client's shoes.
You have to
I was
know
never
what
a
they're going
bartender.
through.
Yeah, I was never a bartender. I was never a waitress, but you know, I did a shitty construction job where I made less than minimum wage.
Right.
I worked in a gym and got treated like shit.
dirty,
And then the fire service, when I was doing it, it was at a time where we weren't making much money at all. My first firefighting job ever was less than minimum wage because it was technically a volunteer position.
I hate that.
It was $90 a day for a 24-hour shift, which to me was a ton
That's
of money.
abuse.
Well, to me, it was a ton of money. At the time, I was like, wait, if I work 10
That's why I
days in a
took the
row and
40
make
grand though.
$900.
Because to me, I was like, it's better than 30, you know?
So do you think because you came from a low income background, that's why you took a $40,000 a year job with 6 figures of law school debt?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I want people to
Very
understand. We're not
predatory
saying,
situation.
40K is trash and you should feel bad if you, it's 40K
that's not what,
plus
for the amount of work I was being required to do of like 60 plus hours a week for 40K. Don't ever do that. Don't do that.
This episode of Working Class is brought to you by the best law firm in the world, my law firm. That's right. I am a practicing attorney, folks, and I am the founder and CEO of Centurion Trial Attorneys. We fight for workers' rights and we represent victims of serious accidents. Hey, don't go with a billboard lawyer. Go with a real litigator. We get better results and we fight harder. CenturionTrialAttorneys.com or dial 888-CALL-RYAN.
But yeah, I'm not saying 40K is not a lot of money. It was for the amount of work that I was being required to do where I'm like, I'm getting taken advantage of.
It's not a lot of money for the work and for the monthly debt payments you have to make because it absent
that
the
reminds
student
me
loan
that starts
debt.
up like next month, doesn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to trigger you.
Okay, let's not talk about that.
No. So how did you get that first job? If you were kind of mediocre in law school, I say that with love.
Oh no, I'm full stop
mediocre in law school, no family connections.
It's a funny
Dad
story.
doesn't own a firm, mom doesn't own a firm, first generation lawyer. How did you get that job?
So funny story, buckle up because it gets a little crazy.
I'm buckled.
So this was back when I was still doing 20 jobs at once. I had all my connections. And so I never interviewed for a job. And I say that because people would just ask me to work or do stuff. So I was like so proud of my work ethic, reputation. Okay. So going into it, I was doing all my other jobs. And then my friend was working at a law firm in Illinois and they were like, hey, we need a law clerk. You want to apply? And so it was like, I would get it as long as I showed up. You know what I mean? So I go and I interview and it was for literally like, this place I worked was super toxic. It was all women working together. And the owner of the firm was very aggressive and everyone was terrified of her.
Was this like
she
a
was
hierarchy?
Like the dragon lady. We were all terrified of her.
Was it kind of like one of those things where you have like the dictator on top and the dictator has the underlings fighting each other for the dictator's approval?
Yes.
It was one of those 100%,
offices. 100%. Yes.
That's how Putin runs his office.
And I would like to say at the time I was like, this lady's the devil. I now get kind of why she was that way for some of the business parts more, you know?
Why did you feel like she was the devil?
Oh, employees would get pitted against each other like that. It was so much drama. There was always a fight. There was always an outcast. It was just like.
Sounds like a reality TV show.
It could have been. It was a family law firm and it was just a mess as far as like the worst. Cause then you couldn't even be friends with your coworkers because they would run and tell her to get brownie points for things like that. So
that is not, what is the point of going to work if you're just enemies with everyone?
I don't know. I didn't like it. And I flew under the radar because I was only there like 2 days a week as a clerk.
You weren't a threat.
Yeah.
You're just the law clerk.
When it happened, this is when the shit hit the fan. Is because I kind of flew under the radar and was like the pet, okay, because I would just be fun and cute and show up to the happy hour. And
that's like, a good defense mechanism.
I did all just to give you an example, I would go there to do discovery. I would drive an hour there. If her car was in the parking lot, I would turn around and come home.
After an hour drive?
Yeah.
Really? Because you were afraid of the managing partner?
To deal with her. Yeah. Yeah. She was a dragon lady. But and I'm not being dramatic at all. Like there are people who are probably afraid to say, but it's true. So anyway, so I was the pet until I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And actually there's a really old video of me of when she was trying to do videos and she wanted me to dress of what's not court appropriate. There's a YouTube video out there if you want to go.
There's a video of you in
cringe.
What are you wearing in that video?
A really like low, like
oh my God,
like you know that dress that J-Lo wore to the Oscars. It was like that. And
Really?
I just did what I was told. I don't know.
Did you feel any kind of way? Like,
No.
Because what's the point of that video? I mean, I guess it would get a lot of views.
I thought no one would ever see it. So I was like, whatever.
And
So
then of course it goes viral, right?
So that's part of the reason she liked me is I was like, whatever, I'll do anything for money practically. So I was like, here.
Oh my
And
God,
so I was the pet until one day I wasn't.
What
Because
happened?
she would fly off the handle about like the smallest little mistake. And I'll never forget this. I vividly remember this. We were getting ready for this mandatory Christmas party. You know what he wanted to go to?
A mandatory Christmas party.
And I was trying to get this like fat stack of Discovery done.
Mhm.
And I accidentally left a sticky note on it that said financial affidavit. So I remember to put that in at the end.
Mhm.
And it got mailed out that way with the financial affidavit, with a Post-it note that said financial affidavit. That's it.
Oh my God.
That's it. Okay.
Okay. It's not that big a deal, but I can see where this is going.
So
Yeah.
Christmas comes and goes. I'm on my break where I had the week off to visit someone, my then piece of shit boyfriend that lived in Colorado, and ex-boyfriend. And so then I'm there and I'm like on vacation, and most healthy workplaces don't bother their people when they're on PTO. That's just what you do if you want to keep your employees. So I'll never forget, because I had never been the victim of her aggression.
You hadn't
this
been
point.
bullied by her yet.
Not yet.
Mm.
So she calls me in the middle of this like Christmas break, and I'm like in Colorado, like vibing, and I'm like
You're just having a great time.
Yeah, I'm like, you're
Even
my
though you got your
long-distance
piece of shit
boyfriend.
boyfriend.
Yeah,
there.
my long distance boyfriend. I'm like, life is great. Okay. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How dare you send this out? Did you know you sent it with a Post-it? And like, I got this huge long email of a Post-it note, Ryan.
Oh my
And
God.
I would just want you to know, I did so much work for this woman. I mean, like, that was the turning point for me with someone when you're dead to me is when I'm giving it my all and you shit on me.
Did she ever say like a hey, good job, or any positive feedback before this?
Yes.
So you had a little something from
Yes,
her.
I got the good words, but I wasn't there enough to get the bad part. So this was my first time experiencing it.
What was you're a lawyer now, so looking back, what was the real damage that sticky note did to the case?
Exactly. Nothing.
Nothing.
But she was like, they're going to think I'm unprofessional because you put a Post-it note in it. And she sent this huge long email. It was so insulting. It was like, you're not allowed to do this until it's approved. You're not allowed to mail anything out unless it's approved. And even then, just don't mail anything out.
That's psychotic
It was so
behavior.
condescending and just asshole
Mistakes
behavior.
happen. And not only do mistakes happen, but look, I'm the boss of my firm and I screw up all the time.
Everyone does.
I send emails, I
Yeah.
forget the attachment.
Everyone does that.
Little mistakes are gonna happen.
And
it's
if
okay.
you rule with an iron fist that your employees are afraid to come with you to mistakes, they're not going to tell you. We can easily fix a mistake, right?
Mhm.
By filing it, you can file all this stuff. And so I can fix it if someone tells me. If they try to do it on their own because they're scared to come to you, and now it's this giant mistake, and now they've tried to fix it, and that's also now a different mistake.
It creates a pit of snakes
Yeah,
too.
that's how that firm was.
Where the only way to get ahead is to rat out people's
That's
tiny
how that firm
mistakes.
was.
And then what that does is it causes people to just, whatever I do, I don't have to do a good job. I just need to not make a
I
mistake.
need to be not the worst one. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So this is my first time being subjected to it. And I had some cream sherry, which is like one of my dangerous drinks.
Wait, no, were you
And I
drunk when
was
you
like,
got this?
Yeah.
Oh,
in
no.
Colorado, because it was in the evening. It was like 7 p.m. And
She called you at 7 p.m. in the evening on your vacation?
Sent this email with like the list of how I'm an idiot and not allowed to do basically no duties. And this was like how a normal thing. You would get dehumanized, all your duties removed, and then she needed you to work, so you'd kind of just do it anyway. But so I get this
Wow.
thing, and just like the devil on my shoulder, Ryan, where I was like, I'm gonna tell her to fuck off. And I did.
You did.
I did.
Spill the tea. What did you say to her?
Okay, so I did not know employment law at the time, and I'm saying that because that'll come into play later when I made a protected complaint I didn't even know.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't know what I was doing, and that was the only thing that my piece of shit ex-boyfriend did that was good that day. He's like, because I read it to him, I'm like, I'm going to tell her this, and like, I'm going to tell her back and all this stuff, and it was like the meanest email. And I was like, if you don't like, I've repeated what she said to me, and at the end, and I said, if you don't like how I'm working for you as a law clerk, I suggest you find someone else. And that's what she had said to me. She said, if you don't like working here, I suggest you find somewhere else. So I just mirrored it, which is like my favorite thing. By the way, I love doing that.
How did that work for you?
But I made the protected complaint in that email where I said, this discrimination and harassment's going on. It's never been addressed. This is the most toxic place to work ever. And so I made that protected complaint. I was immediately fired within 2 minutes by email. She logged into someone else's email to fire me, so it didn't look like her. I don't know why. Someone told me that. All these people came and told me this, by the way.
That's because no one likes her.
Yeah.
That's the other thing about there's so many macho tough guys I meet who are like, you got to like stand up to your employees and show them who's the boss. And it's like, you don't understand.
Everyone hates you when you're like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you rule like that, like it is such a precarious position. The minute there's any chink in your armor, everyone's going to turn on you.
Yeah.
And you deserve it.
And they were like, literally all of them were like, man, that sucks you got fired, but we love that you told her to fuck off. And so that was like my legend of that firm or whatever. So fast forward to, you know, I go to law school and I'm taking the character in fitness where you have to disclose like every detail of your life ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, she's kind of squirrely. That I hope she doesn't say I messed with like trust fund money or something that wasn't true just to mess with me. And so I was like, I just hope that doesn't happen. This is my Taylor Swift mastermind. So I went out to have like brunch with some of the people that were still working there.
Really?
And I was like, I don't want to do this, but if she gives me a bad reference or lies, I can still sue her because it's within this time when I reported this and I was immediately fired and I don't want to, but I might have to. And I got a call on Monday saying, what do you want me to put on your character in fitness?
From her?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was like freaking out, Ryan. I was like, she's calling me.
That's so funny. I think you might have learned some things there because especially as people coming up low income, we are taught to be so afraid of our employers because they can take your paycheck from you. And if they take your paycheck from you, you're fucked.
Yeah,
like it's
totally
over. But at the same time, we do have rights. Even in a right to work state, even in an at will state, we have rights.
And that is like that's why retaliation laws exist for that scenario right there. So yeah, I could have gone after for a claim and it was like, it wasn't a good claim. You know, I just was saying things.
Pretty weak
I just added it in because my boyfriend said to put at the time. Said to put
he didn't know what discrimination retaliation was yet. But it's
no, I didn't know. But anyway, so then she just put that it just didn't work out. But I was a great clerk or something like that, and then I never heard from her again. But I do have a lot more respect for her now. I understand why she was kind of like that in some ways. Mm-hmm. But it's not justifying it, but I get it a little more now.
You can empathize with a person without condoning that person.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
It's a big, what is that difference?
You always say everything so much nice, like eloquently more than me. I'll be like, she did this. And you're like, that's just like this. I love it. That's my favorite part of when we talk because I'll be like, you know that thing you can file? It's like this. And you're like the polished and refined. And you're like, that's a motion for this.
No, I'm the Cliff Notes version of what you say.
That.
I just take what you did and I just condense it down.
I love that.
You know, was there, hold on, let me get my thoughts together here. If you were to point at that moment again, do you think you changed when you sent back that snarky email to this person who you were so afraid of that you would see her car and then drive back home? Did you change as a person in that moment?
But for the better, yeah. Because I mean, I think we should always be doing things outside of our comfort zone. You should always be scared to be doing things or you're not pushing it enough to kind of grow as a person. And standing up to her was like orgasmic, Ryan. I was like, somebody finally told her off. And like, it was great. I changed for the better because it was terrifying. I'm like, I'm in law school. I got fired during my 2L year. What the heck am I going to do?
You got fired.
Yeah.
You stood up to a bully.
Never been fired before in my life.
And you stood up to a bully who on paper was so much more powerful than you. She was a licensed attorney. She had her own firm. She had more money than you, more connections, and you stood up to her. Nasty too.
So like, it's scary to do. I totally get it. Which is like when I'm helping clients make protected complaints, I'm like, I've been in your shoes. Trust me. If they do what we think they're going to do anyway and fire you, you want to do this.
Ghostwriting complaints is one of my favorite things because it feels like I'm building a booby trap. It's really fun.
It's actually not though, because if they just follow the fucking law, it's not a booby trap.
If they follow the law, yes, it's not a booby trap. All right, so let me dial that back a minute. Good call out. It's ideally
Ryan's gonna get us canceled.
No, we're not gonna get canceled. Here's the thing: if you're just not a fucking racist, sexually harassing wage thief, you have nothing to fear from us. If you just do not steal from your workers, don't punish them simply because she's a woman having a female body experience, getting pregnant or whatever the problem is, then you have nothing to fear. But if you're an asshole and you've been a terrorist to these employees their whole life, and then I get to ghostwrite their complaint, it's a booby trap because I'm going to lay out a perfect protected complaint that shows that you were on notice. This person had a medical condition, they were pregnant, they had military service, whatever it is. And then when you do what I know you're going to do,
yeah, the writing's always on the wall when they make the protected complaint.
But we're not, and here's the thing, we're not trying to be sneaky when we go.
No, not at all. We're just preserving their rights. Yeah.
I say, dear boss, I have been diagnosed with a disability. I need reasonable accommodation to do my job. Can we discuss, accommodations on Monday?
Or why did you deny them and tell me that I'm going to be fired? Yeah. The things that we're not drumming stuff up and making this like, Indiana Jones pitfall thing.
No.
The things are all happening. We're just giving them the tool they need to document it, preserve their rights, get the timeline well, so that if they get retaliated against, which usually we expect is going to happen anyway if we're at that stage, then there's something we can do.
Exactly. It's like, dude, I'm handing you a rope.
I love
you can choose to hang yourself with it, or you can choose to do the right thing.
It breaks my heart when I write one for someone and they are too scared to do it, which I get it, but that's the only way you can protect yourself sometimes. And then like 6 months goes by and they did get fired. They never complained. They never did. And it was like some kind of like real like they were 5 minutes late or something.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart when I'm like, why didn't you just do the complaint I sent you?
People are so scared. And I think the hardest thing that you and I deal with that's so frustrating is we are labor law experts. We know what we are talking about.
I'm not allowed to say that in Missouri, so I'm not.
We're not certified. We're not certified experts, but we are experts in the field. Those certifications are.
I'm just being funny.
I would never.
For legal purposes.
Yeah. No, but we're experts in labor law. We know what we're talking about. We do these cases all the time.
Very well.
But no matter how many times we say it, we get hundreds of comments every day from people who do not know better. They are speaking from a place of fear and ignorance, and they say, if you slip up even a little bit, your boss will fire you and blacklist you, and you'll never work again. And that sucks because it causes people to live really, really tough, desperate lives.
I know. It's the worst
and
mentality.
They deserve better. And we're trying to help. And yeah, you do the complaint. There is a risk you'll get fired. But any half-decent HR
wouldn't you want your safety net because that's going to happen anyway. Yeah.
Any half-decent HR boss should look at that and go, hey, this person has just asked me for something that is legally protected and I should behave reasonably.
I used to take those comments as a personal attack on my videos when they would say stuff like that, to be like, don't listen to her, you're going to get fired anyway, or things like that. And I would go to defend it and be like, I know what I'm fucking talking about. Okay. Like all this stuff, like you have no idea. Where do you work? You're not a lawyer. Like and so I saw this. So that after the therapy, I'm supposed to give everyone the benefit of the doubt that wasn't personal. And then I saw this TikTok. I wish I could remember who said it, because it's like my new life motto right now. It just reminded me when you were saying that, is never attribute to malice what is actually probably incompetence. And that's not in a bad way. It's just, they don't know. It is scary. The unknown is scary. So it's hard, but if they will just if you get an employment lawyer, just trust what they're telling you. It's for your own protection. It's for your own good.
That's a really good quote that's been going around, and I think about it a lot.
Okay. So you know the video I'm talking about?
I know exactly.
I love it. It's so perfect because in my experience, it's usually always true, except for the rare one where someone is really wanting to be mean. But it is rare. And that's another thing I deal with too. As I've gotten busy, I know that I'm not really good about getting back to people and learning. Oh yeah, I get motherfucked for that. Yeah.
Don't take silence personally.
Yes.
Don't take silence personally.
You
fell off the face of the earth. Not calling you out. You fell off the face of the earth for a few months where I couldn't get a hold of you. But we're friends. You're here.
So, okay. Sorry, nothing personal. And I'm so sorry for that. But like getting me on the phone is like seeing Bigfoot. I do not like talking on the phone. And so that's the biggest hurdles, because it's just usually it's a time suck, because it's like all day I've been talking to people. I don't want to keep doing all this stuff. But yeah, I felt terrible for it too. But you know how with like, I don't know if you have anxiety in the same way that I do, or if you do, but it would just be like one more thing I'm like, what does someone want now? You know? So yeah, I did fall. I don't call people back.
That's
very
fine.
rarely.
Well, you've been through a lot. I mean, and fighting your way up from low income to a high income role is one of the hardest things you can do.
It's a hard transition, because I have to constantly remind myself not to be in scarcity mindset still.
Scarcity mindset will ruin you as a business owner.
It will. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard not to do that when you come from how we did. So thank God for Sam, because she helps me like bolster up for the expert fee and do all this stuff. And I'm like, damn, that sucks. Like
it's not fun doing that, but it's important. So you got your first law firm job. What was the firm you started working at?
What was the
practice area?
Oh, so
no. So you graduated law school. You stood up to Dragon Lady. Big hero moment. Okay. Let's fast forward.
Like, I've had a
you
lot.
get your first lawyer job.
Okay, so I got fired by Dragon Lady, right? And I'm like, what am I gonna do? I need a job in law school because this doesn't look good. Yeah. Never been fired before, so that hurt my ego too.
The thing is, you've got perfect experience as an employment lawyer. You know all about getting fired.
I think so. Yeah.
Getting fired. I feel like you have to get fired once to be a good labor lawyer.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs that under their belt for sure, because you got to know what it feels like. So I was desperate for work because everyone had already done their OCI interviews. I was late. I had no one was hiring for when they do that. And so I was nuts. This is what I do when I want something. I will just annoy the fuck out of everyone until I get an answer. So I pulled up Indeed, any legal job at all, lawyer, paralegal, secretary, clerk, janitor. I applied for it.
Really?
And I sent it with a cover letter saying, hi, I will do anything for experience. I love doing discovery, like all this stuff, all these buzz things. And I sent out hundreds to just any legal job because this was pre-COVID. So it was really still competitive for legal jobs in St. Louis. And I was like, hi, and I got, out of the hundreds, I got probably like 5 responses that were like, are you an idiot? Can you read? This is an ad for a lawyer. Why'd you apply? And I'm like, well, if you ever need a clerk, let me know.
Nuts. I just got to say, I respect that hustle so bad. There's so many people who they're in a bad spot and they want to break out of it, but they're afraid of rejection.
You got to get creative.
They're afraid of looking foolish. And I got to tell you this much. If you're scared of looking foolish, buckle up. Your life is going to be real hard.
I agree.
Because I don't know a single person who is really killing it in life who doesn't have a few cringe memories.
Everyone does.
Like getting chewed out because you applied for a job and it was for the wrong practice area and someone yelled at you. It just apply. Worst case scenario, they ignore you.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, they say something. At least we're talking.
Yeah. And I was like, I just knew if I could get my foot in the door, I could talk my way into something is what I was like delusionally thinking. And so I did. I got that engagement. And even when they told me to fuck off, I was like, but if you ever need anyone, let me know. I'm your girl. Like,
it's okay. We're talking.
Yeah. And so
when did you actually get the job?
So I got one response that was like, well, this is a ad for this position, but maybe I do need a clerk. We do have some trials coming up. Let's talk. And I was like, sold.
Okay.
So that was my first job. I did a phone interview and then an in-person interview, and it was at a super duper small firm. And by that, I mean, there was one lawyer who I was working for, but we shared office space. So I learned, I'm like I like to learn things. So I was a sponge where I've seen this person do this or this paralegal do this. My ADHD, I adapt that trait. Like I will now also do that.
Okay.
And so I started working there. I was working there through law school and I loved it. My first year, we had like baller cases that were just so fascinating to me.
No spoilers. Is this the same firm that you had the falling out with?
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone listening, buckle up. This is a really good story.
You're in for a treat.
Let's start. So we're chapter 1, roses and sunshine. Everything's fine with this one guy.
Yeah. For like the first year, it was awesome.
The partner you worked for, not a partner, is a solo practitioner.
The only
man.
Yes.
And what was his practice area?
That's a good question.
Just anything that came
through the door.
A lot of solos are like that. Okay.
I know, which I wish people knew, like non-lawyers knew that more, because knowing what I know now, that's terrifying as a client. That should terrify you.
I mean, I don't want to, talk down on anyone who's trying to hustle out there, but if I'm a client and my case means the world to me, I would go to a specialist. Important things to ask about your employment case, because things did fall through the crack. I'll be the first to admit that, because I was there working there and I saw it happen. When someone is a small firm doing everything, you should probably run. Yeah.
You should go to, and you got to do what you got to do. So if you're like a lawyer taking anything that'll come in the door, totally get that. But you should refine it. You should not be a jack of all trades.
Centurion Trial Attorneys does 3 things.
That's
my firm
totally
does
fine.
3 things, and we have an attorney in charge of each thing.
And that's how it should be. Yeah. And that's how a lot of firms run things. And that way you have your quote expert that you can go to with that case. When it's someone who does a jack of all trades, you're just kind of winging it.
It's rough. So when did you first realize that there were some problems at this firm?
So this is another thing that happened
at this dude's office.
For all non-lawyers listening, this is a really common like small firm experience. So there started to be issues of like clients were getting mad because no work was getting done on the case, or like these cases would stall, or this person wanted payment. And it was just like, I kind of felt like I was about to get on the Titanic.
Yeah.
And it was after COVID where, like I said, I was doing all the work. I had no business doing this.
So at this point, were you an associate?
Yeah, I was like probably like 2 or 3 year old associate at this point, which you still don't know that much, as far as like when something weird happens, I had no support.
You had been an attorney for 2 years?
I loved my first year, and then first
year was fine.
Then I had a year of like meh, and then I think COVID happened, or like right during there was when COVID happened, and then I went to working from home as an attorney, which is the only reason I didn't quit before then, because it started to go downhill so fast. Why
were things going downhill at this firm? So you graduate law school.
I was the only one working.
Year 1, things were fine. The solo practitioner wasn't doing any work.
Nothing. I mean, I had to like literally beat him to get stuff done. And it was because I was getting bitched at by everyone else, where I was like, you're going to fucking sign this right now.
What was his deal? Why would he just be so derelict in his duties?
I don't know.
Because look, I'll be first to admit that as manager of my firm, there are sometimes when my employees have a hard time getting a hold of me.
Life happens.
But it's not because I'm not doing anything.
Not for 3 years.
It's because I'm taking care of my cases and my team has their cases, and sometimes they need help with their stuff, and it takes me a minute to get back to them.
I don't know what the problem is, and I try to be really conscious of not like speculating toward mental health types of things, but I think definitely something was happening there clearly, because it was almost like this person was debilitated. Like they couldn't do the work.
Wasn't he getting a divorce?
Then that happened that happened when I quit. Yeah.
Tell us the quitting story.
Okay.
I want to know the divorce and everything.
Yeah. The long story short, it was a bad time and I was starting to hate it. And then COVID happened and I'm like, I can work from home. I was living at my mom's because I was broke from I was making $50,000 a year at this point.
You got up to $50,000
I negotiated more
as an attorney.
Yeah.
A second year attorney?
Third.
A third year attorney.
Second and third year attorney is when I was like, you have to at least pay me $50,000.
Paige, I have to hit the brakes. Why did you let someone pay you so little and treat you so badly? Because
I was told that this will be your base pay, and this is what the whole song and dance they sell people on. Mm-hmm. This is your low base pay. It sucks. I did it. You'll do it too. Like you just have to go through it. But you can get your bonuses of what you bring in. So if you bring in these cases, you'll get bonuses as they settle. So like I said, I'll do just about anything for money.
If you brought them in, but if you worked a case that you didn't bring in, you didn't get a bonus on that?
I was supposed to, and then it would never happen.
My associates get a bonus on every case they touch. It doesn't matter if they brought it in. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
And so there are a lot of broken promises as far as money. Don't ever fuck with my money. That's when I go crazy. Mm-hmm. And so then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to quit. And I was going to quit and go work at Target. I'm not kidding. I did not want to be a lawyer anywhere. Like we were talking about.
What took the joy of law out of?
Because I was getting bitched at by everyone. So I shut down when I'm getting bitched at by everyone.
You need at least one safe support space. That's why teams are so important. That's why I feel bad for solos. Support. You need a team. You need the chill paralegal. You need one cool partner, one cool, coworker.
I don't know how people do solo because I couldn't live without Samantha. Mm-hmm. At least you got to have powwow. You got to be able to talk about things and strategize and have someone tell you the sky's not falling, So I don't know how they do it, but I would not be well.
So you were in a position where the clients weren't happy because your boss, the guy in charge of the firm, was
bitched up by the clients,
totally ignoring
bitched
them.
up by my boss, bitched up by everyone, clerks, other lawyers, because the cases weren't moving. And so that's when I was like, I was like, hey, we need to talk. This isn't working out. To my boss at the time. Yeah. I was like, we need to talk. This is a really big deal. Cause it was a whole lot of drama, which I don't like spare just because there are people involved that's not their fault. Like as far as like his wife and things like that. But there was a lot of like, he was going through like this crazy divorce. There may have been like lots of, what's the word for it? Like soap opera romances going on. St. Louis is scandalous. Okay.
Wait.
Do you know where Real Housewives started with Andy Cohen is based out of St. Louis, like inspired by the wives there?
Get out.
It is crazy.
I thought the first Real Housewives was Orange County.
He said it inspired him by like the Ladue and the St. Louis County wives because they are like insane.
Is there like an upper class socialite group of?
Yes. And they have nothing better to do than start shit because they just work, don't work.
So your boss was married and then was he
some kind of mess
around? Was he going
for my own protections? You can make your own assumptions about that. But so it was like a lot going on. And I'm like, run your fucking law firm. Like all this stuff is going on. I don't care about this. Like you're running everything into the ground and I'm the only one who gives a shit. And so one day it was like, I just got chewed out by someone and I was like, we need to talk. This isn't working out anymore. And he didn't get back to me the whole day. And it was like a problem. There was like an urgent thing. And so then I sent him a text and I was like, this is my 2 weeks notice, which you're lucky I'm giving you.
You said that?
And I'm starting my own firm.
You couldn't help throwing the snark in there.
Oh, I am wicked when I can be.
I remember this. I remember this was years ago. You and I had a phone conversation.
Because I called you. I was like, Brian, I just quit my job.
We were talking about this. And I remember, I think you said he even started getting weird at the office, like when he would show up.
Oh,
like, did he kind of hit on you at one point?
Super weird behaviors. And it was like, that's why I'm like, I don't know what was really going on there, which was great because I was remote. So I was like never there. Mm-hmm. And so this is the funny part too, is like, I didn't know this, but we learned these rules when we were in law school. I never had to know them, but it was like when I left the firm, I took everyone with me pretty much because they didn't even know who that person was.
Really?
And so there are rules. I'm sure there's similar rules here, but like in Missouri, when you leave a firm, there's a rule that the lawyer that was working on that case, that you're supposed to be sending the client a letter saying you have the option to go with the lawyer leaving, stay with the firm you're at, or get a new lawyer altogether. And we have to advise them of these rights. They check which one they want to do and send it back. And so I'm like, we have 2 weeks. I will get everything up to date on like what needs to be done next. All the stuff is in line. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to do work. Sorry. And so then,
God forbid, right?
Yeah, I'm like, sorry. I know you probably don't know how to do that anymore. But so then we were like fighting over the stupid letter. And I think he got a little scared of me at the time because I was insane. I was like, oh yeah, you want to do this? Like crazy.
I think he was probably afraid because for the first time he had lost control of you.
Yes, 100%. And I was not to be controlled ever again. I was unhinged.
How much time were you thinking about leaving and starting your own firm before you finally said, I'm out?
A week.
Just 1 week. Yeah. Usually people think about it for months.
I was begging one of my friends to show me how to do family law and like hire me. And she's like, you would hate your life again. You'd be back. And I was like, the best thing she ever did was tell me no. Cause sometimes you need to be told no. So I was like, okay. And it was this great conversation because I was like, she's like, so what do you want? And I'm like, well, I like working remotely because I like being with my dog. I like doing what I like to do. I like that stuff. She goes, sounds like you need to work for yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't. I don't know how to do that. And she's like, well, you could start up the firm and do this stuff. I'll show you I'll tell you who I use for this. And
get some friends who know how to run a business to help you.
Yeah. My connections and support system when I quit and did that are the only reason I was able to do it. 100%.
And when did you team up with Sam? Sam is your sister-in-law.
So this is so funny too, because she was in yes, Samantha's my sister-in-law. She married my brother. So did I ever tell you how they met in law school?
How'd they meet?
So my brother was in the Army. He was a mortician in the Army and had not a good time.
I cannot think of a shitty
honorably
job.
Discharged for just a lot going on. And so then he came back and was a little off, just like anybody would be.
How could he not?
And I was trying to make him like, go socialize, go do this or whatever. And we had barristers coming up with people who not go to law school. That's like our version of prom.
It's law school prom.
Fancy prom. We just like to go all out and just get wasted, absolutely like blackout drunk, which is not good to do. But anyway, so I'm like, hey, my brother's just fun. He likes to dance. Can he use someone's +1? Because I just want him to come and like go be a person.
Just socialize. Get out. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to get out there. So then I said that in our group message of law school. And Samantha was like, oh, yeah, he can use my +1. Come to find out, she took it away from someone else so that she could bring my brother. I know. I didn't know this at the time.
Who did she take it away from?
Just one of her friends that was going to come with her.
I thought it was like a guy who pissed her off or something. That'd
I have my own theories about like, I think maybe they were interested in her. And she's like, I'm bringing Hunter instead.
Oh,
but wow. I'm just guessing that. I have no proof. So then we go to like a meet and greet and my brother has like no game. He's so awkward. He's just doofy. Okay. About stuff like this. He only had like one girlfriend before. And so he didn't know what to do.
No game is good game.
That's what I think she liked that. It was very endearing because he wasn't playing her, you know, it wasn't any kind of creepiness going on because he just was honestly. So then they were friends because they're like, we'll have a mixer. Everyone met. I actually made a lot of people for this dance and they all got married.
Really?
Yeah. So I was really proud about that.
So part-time matchmaker.
I do like to do that. Yeah. Okay. I do that on the side as well. So then we all go to this dance and you know how everyone gets just blasted and my brother is drunk and Sam, she was gorgeous. She looked like Jessica Rabbit. She has the best boobs in the world. Literally I'm going to send you a picture to include in the episode.
You can keep the boobs. It's fine.
No, I want everyone to see this, how beautiful they were to put in the episode.
Can we edit that in here? Can we put up the Jessica Rabbit of Samantha?
She looked like va-va-voom, like gorgeous. Okay.
Sam, I'm so sorry. We're going to put you up on the
I
YouTube.
tell a story all the time. She's been used to it. She's frog boiled at this point for this story. Yeah. So then Hunter, I was like, wow, she looks really nice. And he's like, yeah, she does. Like he's just never seen a woman in like a year.
Sounds like a caveman.
He was just like, yeah, it's pretty great. Like pretty nice. So then we're doing and having a good time. And he comes over to me and he goes, I don't know what to do. And they're her earrings. And he goes, she keeps dropping them. What do I do? I said, put them in your pocket. And he goes, what if I forget them? I said, then you get to see her again, idiot. And he goes, ah.
Nice.
Yeah. And so then they started dating and then they've exclusively dated and then they got married.
I think it's so funny that that you pointed out that having no game is good game.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And you identified a really good reason. And I think there's a life lesson here. The really confident, like tough guy,
Smooth talker.
who comes up and be like, oh, did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Let me get you a drink. There's a reason that's a turnoff to some people because it's not authentic. Like, even if you're being like, this is where people need to give themselves more credit. Even if you're being a little awkward,
People like that. It's very
shy,
endearing.
people would rather do that than the super confident guy who's putting on an act.
A snake oil charmer. Yeah.
Because it's okay. He's confident and confidence is attractive in itself. But authenticity is, in my experience, always more attractive. Authenticity is the most attractive thing a person can have. I would much rather have someone be a little bit shy and awkward, because that's someone just being themselves.
Yeah. And he was like confident in himself, but it was a lot of life changes that happened. And the fact that he wasn't going to be like talking to 6 people at once, I think, it was really comforting and endearing. And then they were like perfect for each other.
That's awesome. Especially because that was probably a low point in his life. And he probably felt like no one would see value in him at the time.
I think it was a really hard transition. And so it just kind of couldn't happen more perfectly.
I think a lot of veterans have that problem where they come out and they have trouble connecting with people because they've been through something that the general public just doesn't understand.
They don't get it. And I try to be understanding. I'd be like, why did that happen that way? And but you don't want to ask questions because they'll talk about what they want to talk about. But it's so as a stigma of like, when you come back and you're a veteran, you do have that transition. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to go to counseling. It's okay to have a mental breakdown as long as you get through it,
Yeah. And I think anyone having that problem should recognize that you do have value, even if you feel like you're at your lowest point, even if you feel like you don't want to be seen. Like, because I know I've seen people have that problem where they don't want to leave their home because they don't want to be seen. They're ashamed. Maybe they think of their glory days before, they had PTSD or before the service, and they think their best years are behind them. But I think Hunter's story is fantastic. Like, he probably felt like the lowest, least valuable version of himself, but it was enough. It was more than enough. It was enough that Sam thought, I really like this guy.
Yeah.
And even in that moment, even if let's say Sam didn't meet with him and lose her earrings, we know what happened there. But even then, you still loved him.
It was hard. And the other thing too, I'm so glad we're talking about this, is because when veterans are experiencing this at work, they have rights for that too. And I think a lot of them don't know that. They need to like tell them, these are your rights when you're re-entering the workforce, when you go back to your civilian job or things like that. Because he experienced, it was hard all around, like personal life and professional, to go work somewhere and people would ask those prying questions. Or I've had clients where they joked about their PTSD or they would drop something to freak them out. And so you have rights if anyone ever does that.
Yeah. It's just, if you work with a veteran, it is absolutely not okay to ask, did you ever kill anyone?
Don't ask that question.
It's really, that is
Why
the most.
would you ask that?
Like, if a 4-year-old pops off and does that, you're 4. Your brain doesn't work
Adults
yet. It's fine. But
that's like asking a paramedic, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? Why would you ask someone to relive that and tell you?
It's so interesting you say that, because as a former firefighter, I get that all the time.
Terrible.
Did you ever see someone die? Yes.
Why
it wasn't
would you
fun. There's a
ask
reason
someone
I don't talk about
it.
There's a reason I don't come up and say, hey, want to hear the story about the time I saw someone die? Because it's not, oh God, sorry. It's not fun to go to that place.
I know.
It's like,
why would you want someone to relive that?
Yeah. I'm not comparing this to military service at all. Completely different things.
It's similar.
But as a former firefighter,
the trauma you experience is similar.
What I did is, it took me years to get here. I read a book. It's by Stephen Pressfield. It's called Gates of Fire. And it's about the Battle of Thermopylae told through the eyes of a slave. So he was a slave who accompanied the Spartan army at the Battle of Thermopylae. And the reason I like this book, I read it like every other year, is it really helps people who've seen like upsetting, traumatic things in their life kind of cope with it. I don't know if Stephen Pressfield did this on purpose, but he has a line where he says, the mind is a hallway with many rooms. And in our life, we identify rooms that we must never go into. And that's kind of,
like that.
I don't know if that's healthy.
Don't ask people to open those rooms.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not a mental health professional. There might be therapists listening to this saying, oh my God, Ryan, that's the worst advice I ever heard. Like, what are you doing? But for me, that's been helpful. Like, what I have done over time is just real quick, getting real. I do have memories of children being burned and
so
bodies
sad.
And really upsetting things as a firefighter, things I saw that are very deeply upsetting to this day.
I can't
12
imagine
years
the
later.
things you've seen.
See that?
So my therapist right now would make me
Sorry.
do my deep breathing to regulate my nervous system.
The point I want to make, because I hope it might help someone, is I have just learned that I don't go into those rooms because they're deeply upsetting places. And I think I've learned what I needed to learn from that in life. And I'm okay shutting those doors. And I just don't go into those rooms. And you nailed it. It is insanely unfair to go into someone's life and open that door without permission, without consent, without knowing that person, to throw open the, did you ever see anyone die? Did you ever lose any brothers in combat?
Don't ask them those questions.
It's not a cool question to ask.
Just assume the answer is yes, and you should give them
You should always assume that even if they're a chaplain or if they worked, you don't know. I mean,
what do you say when people say that to you? Because I've had people be like, I don't know what to do when they ask that, and it makes them feel uncomfortable.
I really do try not to take myself too seriously. Like, I can be serious, but I don't take myself seriously as much as I can, because that's self-destructive. Getting too haughty about your experience is going to make you lonely and bitter. So if people ask me those things, I don't have an answer. I don't want.
You probably educate them, and you're like, "Hey, man, that's not really cool to do."
I don't.
No?
I'll just say, it all kind of blends together. It's because here's the thing: they're asking you that because they want to be entertained. They want to hear a cool story.
They want to be entertained by your trauma.
You almost got burned or how you almost died or someone died. But if you just give a really boring answer, people lose interest in it.
That's a good way to.
Yeah, I get stupid real quick. You see some things.
You're like, I only worked at a desk. What are you talking about?
Yeah, or you can just lie.
Yeah.
They'll
never know.
Just be like, I didn't really, see much. But anyway, the point of that is, and it's not limited to just like first responders or military. I think we all have experiences
any
like
traumatic
that.
event.
And I really don't like when people play the one-up game. Like, oh, well, that's nothing. Like, you're not a surgeon and like life is in my hands. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, we're all having human experiences and they're all
trauma.
hard.
It doesn't, there's unlimited trauma everyone can go through.
Exactly. And this is why you shouldn't take yourself so seriously. Like, I would never in a million years say, oh, well, so-and-so was never a firefighter, so they don't really know what stress is about. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Stress is so relative to what people are going through. And I'll tell you what, working a minimum wage job where your boss is a dick and you don't know if you're going to be able to make rent that month, that's fucking stressful.
Yeah.
And to me,
and you're living in fight or flight constantly from that. Yeah.
That's no different than being in a fire, in my opinion. It's uncomfortable. It's scary. You don't know how things are going to go, but you're doing your best. And I think one thing that would make all of us better, because I see these little pissing matches in the comments all the time.
I tell people,
trying to one up each other.
If you don't be nice in the comments, I turn them off because I don't have time to police them.
I just block people if they're being a dick. Because I did the video about the UPS drivers with the overheated trucks.
Yeah,
because,
which is a huge issue.
Huge issue. Last year, a 24-year-old man died from overheating because his truck wasn't heated. And
there's no excuse for that.
There's no excuse because that truck, it's a controlled environment. There's no need for it to be that hot.
No, they just don't give a fuck.
Yeah. And then I get people saying, oh, you guys are soft. Like, come work in the oil fields. You'll learn what real heat is. And I would never hop in and say, okay, fuck the oil fields. Come join a wildfire with me and I'll show you what real heat is. But why? What is the point?
That would have been like an epic clapback though.
I guess. But to me, that comment, it's just me trying to be macho and show how tough I am. What purpose does it serve? Instead, now if I see it, I usually just block it because it's just unhelpful behavior. Or I'll just say, look, we're all having experiences and there's no need for someone to be overheated and die in a controlled environment. It's unnecessary.
My favorite thing now that we have this like really nicer community on Instagram, because my Instagram got big too fast to where it was people who don't know me and they were just being assholes to me. So now we have this perfect community on there that I think, because when people do that, they attack them on my behalf now. And I don't even have to say anything. I love that. I just like it. I just like, good job.
I'm trying to work on that. You wisened up before I did, where I just want to trust the community to police itself, because
that's the best.
That's such a big pet peeve. I'm going to bring it up one more time, then I'm done. This whole idea that someone is having a tough time. Someone was in an office and got sexually harassed and is very, very upset. And some fucking loser is going to hop in and say, oh, you don't know what real work is, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, bro, there's many people out there working much harder, much scarier, much manlier jobs than you. You're not special. We're all just trying to make a living. And to dehumanize someone's experience
does not diminish theirs.
Exactly.
But this is why I love that quote of maybe it's not malice. They're just stupid. They just don't understand how to think about other people and empathize.
Yeah. When I see that, I truly just see a hurt child.
When people lash out, it's coming from something they don't like about themselves.
Life hasn't turned out how they wanted. They're not making the kind of money they hope to make. Life is not good, and they're taking it out on other people.
Yeah.
And that leads into, because we're workers' rights attorneys, they get mad because they think low income people are taking something from them.
Or when you can't save the day because it's not a case. I get that a lot too, where I'm like, sorry, you're mad at me that you got your free legal consultation and I explained that there's all these options that you can't do and why.
Yeah.
But I now know that lashing out is just not personal. It's just the situation.
Well, let's just call a spade a spade. A lot of times there will be people who come to you and they don't have a case and they're not nice. And it's just that this is.
Oh, I fire clients so fast
and
for that.
The reason they lash out is because they had really hoped that they had an easy payday. And then they have this image of lawyers in their head, like the Simpsons. They think that we're all just money hungry, greedy, willing to lie and cheat. And some are. But if you don't have a case, I'm not doing anything.
I hate it when they're like, you're just scared to go against Amazon, aren't you? I'm like, absolutely not. You just don't have a case.
I've sued Amazon at least 11 times.
Amazon.
And I'm in a class action against them now. It means nothing. Yeah. I will sue Jeff Bezos right in the face. I don't care. But if you don't have a valid claim, I can't do anything.
That's a huge myth too, that we've had to do a lot of work to debunk in the comments of, we don't care the size of the company. Actually, we like it when they're a bigger company because they'll usually hire lawyers and take it more seriously versus like suing a mom and pop shop.
I hate suing mom and pops because they hire if they don't try to represent themselves,
DIY.
which is a shit show in itself. They hire just some little firm that would charge them $100 an hour or some bullshit rate. I would much rather deal with a big corporate firm. Because 100%. Even though I don't like a lot of them, at least they know what they're doing. And it's
at least you're not like having to be lawyers for both sides to explain why they need to take you seriously or, but
we have, I've got a case like that now. It's a really small wage an hour case. The guy's owed like 40 grand. It's not a big deal. And this case is dragging.
That would be a big deal to me.
Because it's this solo attorney who's such an idiot that we had to move for a default on him. And we got this close to getting the default. And he came out of the woodwork and was crying, telling the judge his sob story. And
literally crying?
Not literally crying, but
I was like, was it my old boss?
He was a whiner. Yeah, he mentioned your name a couple times. It was weird.
Oh, no. I did get trash talked to all the judges locally. People told me that. Everyone came back and ran and told me what the smear campaign after that, by the way.
How did that work out for him? Because I think it takes a pretty dumb person not to realize that when you go around town talking shit on one specific person, it makes you look bad.
Yeah. Well, I think it's telling that everyone immediately ran and told me. Like,
I'm on your side.
Told me everything. Yeah, they all told me everything.
Where is this guy?
They know the truth because the truth always comes out. You know what I mean? People know you can't trick them. So that was part of the funny end of that, though, because I was getting really mad. That's like my reputation and how dare you? And they would be like, oh, no, we know that's not what happened. Oh, so I left all this. My ADHD is all over the place. I left all these notes of like every case was up to date, the next step in them because they didn't know what was going on.
That was nice of you to do that.
I did it for the clients. I didn't want to leave the people that I wasn't taking with me high and dry. So I did it for the clients. That's literally the only reason why I didn't quit on the spot. And every day, if he said something assholey to me, I was like, I gave you 2 weeks as a courtesy and I will stop right now if you want to keep talking to me like that.
I love how you sat in that power.
Oh, I was unhinged. I enjoyed it way too much.
Yeah. You don't want to be that aggressive
hell to pay,
all the time. Because it's because it's just life's not functional if you're that assertive. That's one thing people need to learn.
I had to learn the balance.
Yes. There is a boundaries because you want to, like, sometimes we glorify like, oh, I take no shit, I have boundaries. It's like there's a little bit of give and take. You got to allow people to transgress your lines a little bit because most of the time it's not intentional.
Yeah.
There's so much conflict in the world that would be gone if people just let little transgressions slide.
So this was intentional. So he deserved it 100%.
I'm not saying this is that situation. Just because I'm praising it.
I agree with you.
Because I love what you did.
Don't just go all hell loose, have a plan and do smart things. I just fly by the seat of my pants. That's how I do things. Like I figure it out as I go. But so I did it perfectly. Like, here's my gift to you in the best interest of these clients that I'm leaving. And then like 2 weeks goes by and I get a call from him and he's like, why did you leave these files such a mess? Like, you didn't do this. I'm missing court dates. This person got a warrant. This is happening. Blaming me for everything. I know. And I literally
chewed clients,
his ass. I chewed his ass off. And I said, don't ever call me again. He goes, well, you need to help me with this. You left these cases a mess. This was like 3 weeks later after my last day. I was on cloud 9, happy as a lark, And I'm like, I'm not doing shit for you. No.
What an asshole.
So if anyone ever contacts you after that happens, if you quit your job, don't keep working for them.
That's another thing. do not do work
owe
for
them
jobs that you just left. You don't know. But here's the thing. There are some where maybe you do. Maybe
If it's
you had
friendly,
a really good boss who like mentored you and took care of you, and you just
Sure.
moved because it was time to move on. That's fine. You don't, even if you have the best boss in the world, you don't have to stay. You're allowed to grow.
Yes.
You know.
In predatory
okay over
situations.
there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just resituating. I sit with my legs weird, like folded up all the time. So I just move and went.
Okay.
But yeah, in a predatory situation like that, you owe them nothing.
When it's a predatory situation, you owe them nothing.
Yeah.
Well, he made his bed.
And it was so funny because I was seeing the case filings come through, and I mean, it breaks my heart that, would you believe it? It's still happening on some of those like
All this time later.
discrimination cases that there's nothing that's been done on them. Yeah, it breaks my heart, but
You feel bad for the clients, but they had the opportunity to go with you. They chose not to.
And a lot of them did after the fact, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I enjoyed that a lot as well.
You want to help the client, but you can't make the client make good decisions.
Yeah.
And sometimes the clients will do things that shoot themselves in the foot, and you just.
And I totally get, on paper, that was a scary situation. I'm a newer young lawyer about to go do my own thing. I get why you might not want to go with me. But the people that did because I was the only one that talked to them for 3 years before that happened.
I would trust you even with less experience because you're someone who figures shit out. And
I will always figure it out.
You've been figuring. I mean this in the absolute best way. You've been in survival mode for a long time.
Constantly.
And you were on the receiving end of some dehumanizing and shitty experiences. Dragon Lady, your boss who basically used you as
I love our nicknames for everybody.
Yeah, your freaking cheapskate boss who basically did no work and thought, oh, I can have an associate do everything for me.
I know, like I'm an idiot.
That's predatory. Mm-hmm. You're not an idiot. You're learning. We don't come pre-programmed with all the life experiences
I said like they think I'm dumb enough that I would have done that forever, you know?
Oh, yeah. I think they were delusional, you know? And then all those years of you just figuring out, how do I make ends meet? How do I get enough money for this? How do I survive? That figure shit out mentality is really hard to teach. And nothing but a few years of struggle teaches you that. And for some people, it's just being broke for a long time. And I know this sucks. I'm not saying being broke is good, but if you've been broke for a long time and learned to survive that way, you are inherently a better problem solver, in my opinion,
I agree.
than someone who had everything handed to them.
That's like my superpower, I think, is that I will always figure it out because we had to. Mm-hmm. And you know what's so funny is like, I'll never forget, I got my first settlement after we went out on our own. And I was dirt broke because all my money went into starting this law firm.
It's expensive.
It is. It's a lot.
Starting a firm is expensive.
At first, it's such an ordeal to get everything started and your initial costs and all that stuff. So we got
I wouldn't do it again.
We get our first.
It's hard. I don't want to relive that.
Yeah, you would. You wouldn't want to work for someone else, would you?
Oh, no, I'm just saying if someone was like, hey, do you want to try your first year of Centurion again? Like, oh, I love Centurion is my baby.
Yes.
And I love it.
That's why I was like, what?
But I just remember how hard that first year was. And exactly what you said. It was super expensive. There's no handbook that says how to build a law firm.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Just winging it. So we get our first settlement where I was like kind of really scared. It was my first thing. I negotiated all by myself and I was like insane. Mm-hmm. This particular one, it was a mediation and I was like fighting with the mediator who's being awful and all this stuff. And we got it resolved, like a 6-figure employment settlement, which, is not a common thing for one person's claim. They're just not high damage cases most of the time because they're
6
capped.
figures is a lot in an employment
I was so proud of this one. And so we get our attorney's fees out of it. I didn't know what to do with the money, Ryan. I had never had a chunk of money.
Can you say what your cut of the fees was for that case?
I honestly don't remember. Yeah. And I shouldn't since it was a settlement.
Yeah.
But it was like 5 figures.
It was 5 figures.
Yeah. I don't remember how much it was, but Sam and I got our 5-figure attorney's fees and I was like, I don't know what to do with this.
Well, you just started a firm, so that's a really good time to...
We are super conservative, have always just put everything back in the firm. Like, that's why I like my little side jobs that kind of give me the extra money because...
That's your money.
Yeah.
It's so funny that happens as business owners. Like when we make money from our cases, it doesn't, I'm the owner.
I don't get it. Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like my money. Even when Centurion makes profits, it doesn't feel like my money, especially because we have staff who count on me for their careers and everything.
That's stressful, by the way.
It is. You get used to it. But I think that to me, I take comfort in it because I get a little worried sometimes, like, cause I know like I have some employees in the room with us right now where I know they're counting on me to help with their career.
Sure.
But I know in my heart that because I don't see it as my money, I see it as our money.
Business
and
money,
I recognize that I have an obligation to make decisions that bring everyone up. Just the fact that that's in my head, I know that I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to fall short. But if I keep that mentality, I'm on the right path. Where people get in troubles when
that's
they
where
think,
they mess up.
oh, they get entitled.
And they just keep paying only themselves and don't keep their payroll. That's what a lot of solo practitioners do too.
There's a lot of businesses I see where they don't pay payroll because they went out and bought a BMW or went on a fancy European vacation. And look,
that was happening to me, by the way.
That's what you're going to do.
I was seeing someone doing international traveling and then I'm like, why didn't I get paid this Friday when I was supposed to get paid?
You absolutely have no excuse for missing payroll if you're doing that. Look,
No.
if you're a business owner, at some point you should treat yourself because you took on a lot of risk and you worked hard. Go to Europe. Get some nice shoes. Do your thing.
Yeah, but make sure
never
your
at the
business
expense of your
isn't
people.
tanking. Yeah.
Never at the expense of your people.
Right.
And also recognize that once you hired employees, you lost the right to be reckless with that company.
I love
lost
how
the right to be
you don't
reckless.
get fun money anymore.
Because it's not
you
just
are
your boat.
responsible for other people.
Mhm.
Livelihood.
It's like being captain of a little ferry boat. You can't just go.
You got to keep driving it. Well, it was so funny when this would happen to me because this happens to a lot of people where their bosses just won't pay them or they'll be like, hey, we were short this week. I'll pay you next week. I literally just wouldn't work until I got a paycheck. Like I'd be like, don't talk to me until I get paid.
That's fair. The only exception is if you're some kind of part owner or profit sharing where it truly is like a group effort. Like,
oh, yeah. But regular payroll, don't work if they're not paying you because
if you're just an employee, don't work.
Yeah. If they miss payroll, do not work. Don't keep working for free.
I feel really bad for people who do that. I get a lot of those cases where
and I
people
get it.
haven't
I
been
did
paid
it.
for months. Well, yeah. And so even though
get what it's like,
it's so much easier said than done because you're like, well, wait a minute. At least I'm racking up hours. He's going to pay me eventually, right? Like,
hopefully.
Am I really going to start over somewhere new and just kiss, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 goodbye?
Yeah.
That this person might owe me. It's tough, but man, once a business owner is missing payroll, unless you're getting some really open, honest communication, it's really time to leave.
Yeah.
I can think of I don't
That's what I meant about like, I got off the Titanic before it sank. I saw the signs and I saw the rats running down the aisle. So I got off too.
Yeah. I could foresee a situation where there's like, hey, really honest business owners and problems happen. Problems happen. It's okay. But absent something like a really honest, open business owner who you trust really well, just get the hell out of there.
Another thing too, which people like everyone, when I'd be like, oh, we won this case or I did this. Or like when I start sharing it, everyone thinks I'm like balling out. Okay. Doing plaintiff's work. A lot of people don't realize that all of our money goes back into other cases because we front all costs and expenses and have to keep that cycle going. So when you have a firm, I don't get that money of all my attorney's fees. It goes back into my business operating costs like that.
Yeah, it's especially this year. This year is a big building year for my firm.
Yeah, you've had huge growth. I love watching you build your empire.
I appreciate it. It's been fun. I am not paying myself much this year. My associate makes more money than I do right now.
But that's why you're not an asshole. Like because you're sacrificing your dream, your business shit because that's what you got to do.
I don't want to be like patting myself on the back or anything. I have a really good team and it is so easy. I just love my people. We have the best
I love your people too.
at my
I want to
firm.
take one of them with me though, actually. Can we negotiate?
I will kill you.
I want to take your Samantha.
Sam, you don't let her within 3 feet of you.
Now I'm going to be blocked on the group message.
I know you're out.
I would never poach her, but
No.
yeah, literally. You have a great team, but I think it reflects you as an employer too, because people don't go above and beyond for an asshole.
I really appreciate that. And
you don't
that is
compliment
true.
yourself a lot. So I'm going to say that though, really, as I know you, we're friends, you have a good team and part of because how they're treated.
I really appreciate that. I think that the people I'm lucky enough to have, they would thrive anywhere and I'm just lucky to have them, but they make it so easy to do long-term planning for the firm. Like because of who they are, it is so easy to be like, hey, what are we going to do for Sam's career? What are we going to do for Danielle's career? What are we going to do for Robert's career? Like just because they're cool, like there's so much give and take in this stuff.
Isn't it so nice that you can focus on those forward facing things and not like the stressful when you don't have a good employer? If you had more of like a hostile where people were like the Dragon Lady situation, like, isn't it nice that you're just like looking toward the future stress and not what's going on?
100%. When the team is cohesive, we can focus on the mission.
Yeah.
But when the team is like this den of just politics and snakes, it makes for good television, but the mission is going to fall to the wayside. That's what happened in your firms. You saw that. I
think the biggest mistake you can make as a firm owner is by doing that, by not taking care of your people because they can take everything away from you overnight.
That's the thing. Like, Where's Your Crown, King Nothing? That Metallica song.
I love
You know
that.
what
That's so
I'm talking? I
funny.
think about that song a
that's
lot.
funny.
I think about it. It's like, it was you point your finger, but there's no one around.
Yeah,
Where's
no
Your
one
Crown,
to hear you.
King
That's
Nothing?
what's happening now in my own world.
Exactly.
I love it. Oh, can I tell you about the death threat story? I don't want to forget because it was so funny.
Go.
And I was on my vigilante shit because I did a lot of investigating.
I just want to point out, this is not okay. Don't do this.
What I did?
No.
Oh, don't threaten to kill me.
Yeah, how dare you receive
Don't
a death
kill me.
threat, you asshole. Don't send
was like,
death
I
threats
just-
to my friend. God.
Okay, so and this is why I kind of don't fight people in the comments as much anymore. Part of inspired by this is it wasn't even that bad in my opinion. So there was like a comment, people they tell us we're dumb all the time and we just don't care.
Mhm.
But one person said, I lost brain cells by watching this video. And it was just one of my short, like, hey, if this happened to you, you might have talk with a lawyer in your state. Bye.
Mhm.
And he said, I lost brain cells by watching this video. And so on my vigilante shit era, I go, looks like you didn't have that many to lose. That sucks. And
Nice.
I was so proud of that burn.
That's a good burn.
I was so proud of it that
Can we write that on the wall?
I posted
like
that on
that.
my story because I was so proud of it. That's where I got the death threat from because he did not like that and deleted his comment. But because it was still on my story, I guess he went nutso.
Here's a funny idea. If you don't want blowback for saying shitty things, don't say shitty things on a public forum. Do people not realize comments are public and they are forever?
If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Art.
Yes.
That's very well said.
Taylor Swift. I'm trying to see how many Taylor Swift lyrics I can put in this whole interview. So far, I'm up to 10. Did you know that?
There's a big blank space and that I need you to fill with these. Okay.
Now I'm going to blank out on the rest of it.
Oh, there you go.
Now you just turned the tables. I had them all planned, ready to go. No, so he got mad that I posted on my stories and
Yeah.
everyone was laughing at his expense because that is really fucking funny. I think I'll say
That's what he deserves.
I was so proud of that joke. So then I kind of forgot about it, and I went to dinner and with my boyfriend, and we were just like hanging out. And Sam was out of the state on vacation. Poor Samantha. So she goes, "What the fuck's going on?" And because I have a very strict rule because of my anxiety. After I quit working, I don't look at email. I don't get any notifications. They're all turned off because I will just be like, oh, I got to go do that now. That's just how I am.
Mhm.
So I didn't even know this was going on. And so Sam is super respectful of that boundary, and she won't tell me unless it's an emergency, just so you can understand the internal struggle of
Yeah.
her being like, sorry, I have to
So
tell you.
you know it's bad.
Yeah. And I was like, so she forwarded me these voicemails this guy left. He left 3 voicemails to my law firm. And it was so creepy, Ryan. It was like, I can't remember his name. I think it was like Patrick or something now. But he'd be like, this is Patrick. I'm going to come to your house and bash your fucking head in. How dare you disrespect me like that, you bitch. And like just was talking like that. And then he'd call back again and be so calm that it was creepy. You know what I mean? So then I suspected he wasn't in the state and was Googling my fake address because people just randomly show up. So my mailing address is not a real address. And creepy people show up to a P.O. box and then they're like, why am I at a Deerberg's? Is for this reason.
That's
Literally.
you know what? We have that at my office, but we just have 2 levels of security.
Yeah, you have to be able to filter out some of that. And so I was like, literally for this reason is why. So sorry you ended up at a Deerberg's. You should have.
We had a guy call say, I drove all the way from Arizona to be here. Where
Are you kidding
and I'm like,
me?
I don't
Why?
know who you are. We don't have an
Why
appointment.
would you do
Get
that?
out of here.
Yeah.
And the security was like, this guy's adamant that he needs to see you. And I was like, get him out of the building and tell him he's not welcome ever again.
Yeah, and also
like, why you
get a
just showing up?
restraining order.
Like, because, and I want to get back to your story. Like, when you get to a certain level on social media, you just have to presume that strangers approaching you out of nowhere don't like you.
And it
Because
freaks.
it's a
And I
little
get
scary.
I get way too paranoid, and it freaks me out sometimes. But it is a little scary,
Those
honestly.
voicemails are terrifying. So what did you do next?
So he left all those voicemails. Oh, some lawyers have shown up to talk about a case at the Deerbergs too, where I'm like, why would you show up unannounced? You also went to the, and so one time in a depot, they were like, yeah, why is that address actually a Deerbergs? Because I showed up to talk about this case or whatever, and I hadn't been I wasn't in the room yet.
Up unannounced to
Sam
another
goes,
lawyer's
that's
office.
for creepy people, so they get fielded out. So it sucks it worked on you. Like you shouldn't have just showed up, and he didn't. Like she puts people in their place like that. Like it's great.
I love it.
So she's a little worried that the death threats, he was thinking that her house was my house because of he was Googling stuff, I think, and that's not our actual like address. It's a P.O. box. And so I was like, oh shit, like I would have normally just ignored it because I'm untraceable pretty much.
Yeah.
And so, but it was affecting her. So obviously I wanted to find it out. So I go on this creepy website. You can look up everyone's everything for free. Super creepy. And I found out who he was. I did like my own FBI investigating
Wow.
of like,
Don't mess with a lawyer on this because we have to find people who don't want to be
Yes.
found all the time.
Yes.
Like, we will find you.
we will find out where you are, and I'll find your mommy too. And I did.
We will find your mommy.
So then I found out his information just to give her more peace of mind. I was like, look, it looks like he's in Colorado. This is his last known address. I have these numbers. And my police officer, really good friend of mine, called on like the Monday. This happened on a weekend. So then he quit and he was literally like Googling local businesses. He's like, I'm going to see you at the IGA grocery store and bash your fucking head in. Like he left a voicemail just for that.
By the way, this is criminal behavior, people. Don't do this.
Oh yeah. I tried to get him prosecuted. I tried to get him prosecuted just for fun. But so then he was out of the state. I found out all this information. My police officer friend called and it was so funny because he's like, hey, Patrick, is this Patrick so-and-so? And he was like, what the fuck do you want? And he goes, hi, Patrick, this is the police. Did you threaten to kill some people this weekend?
Yes.
And he goes, yeah, the bitch had it coming, and hung up. And I'm on the three-way call. So we're just like, oh my God. So then I said, well, here's his mom's number if you want to try to call her. And so he called her on the phone and she goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He is autistic and he has bipolar. We've been having so many problems with him because he just moved out in his own apartment and he's doing things like this. She goes, I guarantee he has no money, no car. There's zero threat whatsoever. There's nothing that can happen to you because I control everything. And she goes, he's going to call and apologize right now. Wow. And literally he called and apologized and left a voicemail. And he was like, hi, this is Patrick. I'm really sorry that I said those things. I was off my medicine. I'm better now. Sorry. Bye.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
I have mixed feelings here because on the one hand, unacceptable. Yeah. Unacceptable. But
it's scary.
But at the same time, they're having, okay, so he's got a mental health crisis. His brain doesn't work, and that's not necessarily his fault. I mean, how do you feel about this? You're the one who. How do you feel about this?
So my thoughts on it are: I know a lot of people with those conditions, and they've never threatened to kill me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know, it's not like one size fits all when it comes to that. I was just glad that it wasn't an actual threat and it was someone who was like out of the state. But
well, it tracks that someone's sick.
No one can justify that type of behavior with a condition like that, I think, because that's when I don't know that. You're lucky I didn't do something, like take it more seriously.
Oh, no. Being mentally ill is not an excuse to threaten people or come after them. But it is kind of weird because that first, what started it all, I lost brain cells watching this.
Yeah. Of him poking the bear.
And you and I see mean comments like that all the time saying that we're dumb, we're bad lawyers, we don't know what we're talking about. And we don't realize that the person behind that comment is literally a sick person who is incapable of taking care of themselves.
That's why they're doing it. Yeah.
And which makes me think I should take those comments a lot less seriously.
I have so much more peace from being able to do that. Like, you have to be really creative to hurt my feelings on social media now, just because of like what people used to say the most awful things to us about our appearance, about everything. I get so many things about my appearance. Last night, actually, on one of the videos, and on that really sweet one where I was like, I love everybody. Thank you for like celebrating a milestone with me.
I loved that video.
And this guy goes, you have fake eyelashes though. They're not, but not that it matters, but they're not. And I just,
you mean they're so beautiful that they couldn't possibly be natural?
Why did you say that on this post, you strange man? And then so literally now I just be like, they're mine. What else you got? Like, let's hear what else you can.
I feel like we learned something from your death threat situation because I lost brain cells watching this, and then the guy just goes off.
And if I hadn't roasted him, I would have probably not gotten death threats.
Probably not. It's not an excuse, but the guy, I say this with as much compassion as I can. He's kind of a loser. He doesn't have things going for him. Yeah. And then this other guy reaching out saying your eyelashes are ugly. By the way, you know that you're not ugly. You're a beautiful, successful person.
At the beginning, when I first started doing videos during the pandemic, that would haunt me. Like whatever people said about my appearance, I took it to heart. I got my teeth fixed. I got Botox. I fixed my hair. I was like so wrapped up in what people thought of me.
Because of what they were saying online?
Yeah, because I wanted to make everyone happy. And then I did an awesome consult with a social media guru that I love so much, Justin Schumann, love him. And he goes, you are so sad because you're not making content for yourself and you're trying to please everybody. And so if you just do this and quit caring, like all these things, plus coupled with separate therapy, now I don't care what people say or think or do. Or it's actually funny whenever they say those things to me, because I'll be like, I'm talking about your legal rights. Why are you talking about my teeth?
I really love that journey for you.
Me too.
Because I
It's
think that's
peaceful.
the downfall of a lot of creators when they start getting some attention is they get a bunch of criticism and they internalize it and then they spiral.
Which is so funny because a little controversy is good for your engagement. Like I want people to come do that because then my commenters are going to defend me and say, I'm here to do.
If you ever want to get some attention, just get up there and say Hitler's bad. I learned
Oh
my
my God.
lesson.
I cannot believe the hate mail you got over that. And people were saying the most like anti-Semitic things to you. Like
People think I'm Jewish, and so they say anti-Semitic things because they think it's going to hurt my feelings.
that's so bizarre. Why? I don't understand that.
You know, I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and I want to do a 23andMe because so many people are telling me
I
I'm
think you
Jewish that
should.
I'm starting to think I might be.
Okay, maybe we
Because
should.
so on my dad's side, we're actually the Mexican. So they were
Really?
they were European immigrants who went to Mexico, hung out there for a minute, and then went up to the United States.
Wow.
And I'm a pale redhead, and I realized Louis C.K., you know, the comedian Louis C.K., another pale redhead.
Yeah.
We got a little bit in common here. His family did the same thing. They fled the Holocaust from Hungary. They're Hungarian Jews who fled to Mexico. And then when they went to Mexico, they said, we're not Jewish, we're Catholic. We're just going to lay low and we're going to tell everyone we're Catholic. Okay.
Understandable given
and
the
then came to the United
circumstances.
States. My grandmother was a devout Catholic. My parents were raised Catholic. So there's a part of me wondering, like, am I just a Hungarian Jew
Okay, we
and
should
no
have-
one told me?
We should have everyone vote what they think, and then you reveal your test results.
I honestly, I want to do it because it look, just being a white guy from America,
would
I don't
be
really
an
have a
adventure.
cultural identity I
That
can
would be
cling to.
kinda
So if
cool.
it turns out
Yeah,
I'm Jewish, I'm
I
going to
think you
lean
should do
into
it.
that shit so hard.
I think you should
I'm
do
going to
it.
be the Jewish.
We're
Jew
gonna
you've
see
ever
your
met.
next like videos. You'll have, what is it called? The little religious.
Yarmulke?
Yeah, you'll be wearing
Yeah.
those and stuff overnight to be like, I'm embracing my culture.
I was hoping so. Like, Jewish culture is wonderful. I remember when I wrote my children's books, I did like a reading.
That's so cute.
It was-
I love that you wrote
It's a
those.
fun hobby.
I like that
and
you do that.
Thanks.
What's it called? Like booger or something?
No, that's a good name.
Isn't there a booger book or something you did?
It's a booger book.
Okay.
I like your book better.
What?
Tell me about the booger book.
I thought that your character was like a booger or
It's-
something. Am I off? Am I way off?
It's close.
I've never seen someone be so
I
close.
pay just
without
enough
nailing
attention
it.
to kind of know what's
Yeah,
going on, but
it's-
not exactly.
It's the Snot Rocket Adventures.
Oh,
And
that
so there's
is
3
close.
books.
That is close enough.
He has a nuclear nostril and he shoots booger blasters at
Oh
bad
my
guys. He's a
God.
4th grader. He's a little funny looking.
That's
Kids
so
kind of make
cute.
fun. But so kids make fun of him because he has the biggest nose in school and he always has problems. Like if he sneezes, the whole school blows up. Like
I love that.
He has problems.
I think you need to make a movie.
I would love to one day. And what I love about him and the reason I made him is I wanted to show kids like you can be a little funny looking and you can be different. And those differences can be strengths that make
And
you
kids
special.
are so mean about that stuff.
I know because I got picked on so much as a kid because I'm pale and I would turn red all the time and people called me cherry boy or
That's so
strawberry.
mean.
And,
Kids are mean.
And I wasn't always big. When I started, I was big-ish, but there were kids bigger than me and they'd pick on me. And then high school
Oh.
came and it stopped. So I know what it feels like to be bullied.
And now they're calling you for free legal advice, probably.
It is absolutely cuckoo bananas. How many people reach out to me from high school like we're cool?
Is that not the most
And I'm
satisfying
like,
feeling, though?
dude, like you were such a dick to me in high school, and no, like
It's
no.
so satisfying when those people ask for help to me.
But at the same time, I'm a 33-year-old man now. Like how much? And in my mind, I'm realizing that if I have beef with someone because of the way they treated me in high school, is that me, a 33-year-old man, having beef with a 16-year-old? Really, a 16-year-old version of a person who doesn't even exist anymore?
I will help someone I hated in high school because I'll make money off of anybody, but I don't have to like them.
We had a conversation with that the other day. There was a guy who reached out, not going to say who, for some services at the firm. And I didn't really have many good memories of the person, but I was like, look, if his check clears, fuck it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But
You know?
asshole money still spends.
You know, it's
His
fine.
money still spends
You know?
the same.
That's a journey I'm having now, is trying to let go of some bad memories of people who treated me badly coming up and trying to think, okay, look, dude, you're a grown up. You're really going to be upset about something a 16-year-old kid
I
said.
Went to specific
You know.
therapy sessions just for that, to let things go.
Yeah.
And it's just so much more relaxing, and I'm calmer, and it's just peaceful.
Did you see the meme floating around lately? It says, imagine you get bit by a rattlesnake. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah. And instead of getting help, you do something else or something.
It's imagine if you got bit by a rattlesnake and instead of sucking the poison out, you went down to find the rattlesnake and
Yeah.
confront it
That
to
used doing
ask
me.
why it bit you and prove you didn't
And then you
deserve
got
it.
bit again, probably when you.
And it's like, it's
Yeah.
so dumb. It's another great
That's
saying
a great
is,
analogy.
like holding on to grudges is like holding on to a hot coal looking for someone to throw it at.
Yeah.
It's so just like, oh, that coal.
Yeah. And that used to be me. And it's still, I have to be very conscious of that all the time. Like I'm constantly doing that work to control it, but it's so peaceful when I can just be like, I don't care. Like, I was also not an angel in high school. So.
Is therapy really what's changed it for you? Because
Yeah.
I sense
I'm a different person now than when you talked to me even like 3 months ago, I feel like.
you had a rough patch within the past year because it seems that you got not overwhelmed, but just bombarded with the popularity of your firm.
It was
and
too
your
much, too
fame,
fast.
Because I don't
That's
think you
another-
identify as famous, but you really are.
I don't. It weirds me out to even think about too. Like, I don't think I am. It surprises me anytime anyone recognizes me or says something or like fangirls at all. It's the hugest, biggest compliment, but also it freaks me out because then I'm like, I hope I don't disappoint this person. You know?
You can't help that.
I know.
It's funny. I saw a list of celebrities who's rude, who's polite, and I was like,
I never
okay.
want to be on the rude list.
But the thing is,
But
can you
everyone has
really
bad days.
control that?
Yeah.
Like, if a paparazzi gets up in your face and is Miss Paige, is it true that you fucked so and so and is taking pictures?
Yeah.
You're gonna tell them to take a hike,
Right.
and then they're gonna say, "Oh my God, she was so rude to me." It's
Or I get really worried about tipping. I'm like, I don't want them to post this online that I didn't tip them over 30%. You know what I mean? Like, I get really weird about stuff.
My status as the workers' rights lawyer has cost me tens of thousands of dollars
the
in
same
excess
reason?
tipping in my life. For
We're
the same
just so
reason.
scared.
Well, no, I kid a little bit. Like, I truly do believe in supporting workers. I think part of the reason the firm has been successful is obviously it's how I make
Yeah.
my living, but I do it because I truly love what we do. I love sticking up for workers because I know what it's like to work so hard and
it's
get paid
nice
shit.
that you're fortunate to be able to do that and like help people. When
I
you
see it as a
can.
duty.
Yeah.
Like I am so goddamn lucky. I worked hard, but luck was a factor. There are so many people who work as hard or harder than me and nothing comes of it. And I am so lucky that this shit worked out for me. And I have a duty to help as many people as I can. And I try to do it with the content, but if someone comes in touch with me in my life, I want to help if I can.
Yeah, we love that's like at our
tipping a little
core,
extra.
we love helping people.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
I got
literally
fired
what
up
we wanna
with that
do. I
one.
know. We're both very compassionate. We love
Yeah.
helping people, and so that's why it's like a slap in the face when we do all of it. And they're like, "I'm not making that complaint that you wrote," and I'm like,
Dude, I had that happen just a couple weeks
"So
ago.
sad,"
I gave someone a
we
free
know what's going to
consult.
happen. We know what's going to
Yeah.
happen. They're going to call back, and there's nothing I can do.
It sucks because I've had to throw up walls between me and people because of that.
It was just
And,
hard. to
like we do free case evaluations. Case evaluations at my firm are free. But if we
but
say,
they don't get to talk to you necessarily right away. That's what they have a hard time with, I think.
because we get 50 to 70 calls
Yeah,
a day.
there's no
It's
way.
not. And
You-
at the same time, it's like, I have to actually do legal work for the cases I
Right,
have.
like, what
I
do you
can't
think-
just be on the phone all day. I have
I think
to do
people
work.
forget that we do real legal work. You know, like
We set aside time to create content because we're passionate about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is not what most
Do you
of my
think
life is.
any lawyers think it's weird that you do videos? Like, does it rattle them at all? Because I see that happen all the time, but I also talk about more specifics of my cases. So I don't know. Do you have the same experience where it freaks them out?
I don't really talk about cases that much. And the cases I discuss, I change the facts.
Oh, to tweak them a little bit.
Yeah, like I've had people say like, I can't believe you said this and that about your case. I'm like, numbnuts. I changed the facts. Like I'm
And
not
we
an
did it
idiot.
with permission and like we never would do anything that would be hurtful to our client.
I
that
take a
presence
theme
is
of a
good.
case. I take a theme of a case and I change the story a little bit. And I hope this doesn't ruin the videos for people listening, but please understand I have
No,
ethical
it's 'cause we
rules I
have
have to
to.
follow.
Yeah, we have to
know?
do that.
So I'll change it. If it was a man, well, now it's a woman. If it was a big corporation, now it's a mom and pop. If
Yeah.
it was in San Marcos, well, now it's in Sacramento. Like I
Because
change
you
it up.
have to.
Yeah.
We have to protect our clients,
Mhm.
but it still gives value when they're getting that story out. So here's what I love to do is, I don't know if you noticed this when I share cases, I'll be like making coffee or doing something. I'm like, I have this case going on. Let me know what you think. And it'll be like bad facts. Okay. Cause I just want to like focus group it.
Yeah.
And everyone, I love it when everyone in the comments will be like, I'm glad you're suing them. Like, I can't believe they did that. Or they'll be like, well, did they do this or this? And I'm like, that's what my jury would want to know. So I'm going to make sure I address that in my response.
That
Like,
is so smart.
I focus group my fact patterns and I
Yeah.
love doing that on TikTok and Instagram because people love giving their opinion and sharing.
Mhm.
It's like your fake jury pool focus group that you can
Mhm.
do with it.
That's interesting. I actually might try that sometime.
Read my and I lurk everywhere. I love to read everything. I consume every comment, and I always see when people message me and comment me. I can't always respond to
Mhm.
every single thing, but I see it all. And so like the video I would share like vaguely about my First Amendment right case, for example.
Yeah.
The local news stations posted it all because it's like local
Really?
news in a small town.
Yeah.
And I was enjoying reading. Nobody knows I'm even here. And I'm just reading all the comments on this news Facebook page.
Yeah.
And they're all in favor of my client.
Really?
So I sent them to the opposing counsel. I said, this is what the jury's going to think because this is in your town.
And I'm sure opposing counsel loved that. What happened next?
They hate me.
Yeah.
I have a lot of lawyers that don't like to be mentioned on my TikTok. So of course I do it more.
Don't do anything mentionable. How about that?
Yeah.
Just behave.
How about you just behave?
We have that. We have, oh my God. I should out some opposing counsels once in a while.
You should. It's fine.
I love it.
There's a way to do it. Like I always try to do it. Like, would I want someone to do this to me? That's my standard. But if it passes that test, then I talk about it.
I love it.
That's what I talk about.
One sec, Paige. I'm so sorry. Drew, how are we on time?
We are just over 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
That's so
okay.
long.
So Paige, I wanted to ask you a couple of quick questions before we wrap
I
up.
talk
because
way too long.
This is exactly why I brought you here. You've got shit to say and I want to hear
Yeah.
it. But I wanted to ask you some tough questions. Are you in the hot seat now?
Okay.
Okay. At this point, sitting here today, do you consider yourself to be a successful person?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm not unsuccessful.
That is the least helpful response I've ever heard. Get out of my studio.
No, I mean, that's so.
Go home.
No. Let me explain. So this is what we're talking about of our struggle, fight or fight mentality. So my brain is always worst case scenario.
Mhm.
So if it's not worst case scenario, I'm being successful. That's how I gauge it. So like I have a firm that's still functioning. Success. You know what I mean? Like
You own a law firm.
yeah. So I consider myself to be successful because it could be worse. And I measure everything by worst case scenario.
Mhm.
I also consider it to be successful because I'm happy now. Like I'm doing what I want. I enjoy what I'm doing. There was a day where I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore. I don't know who that is anymore. That's great.
You don't even feel like you're the same person.
No. Who is she? Yeah.
So you wake up and you feel happy to do the work you do. Are you excited about your future?
I am really bad at making future plans
Mhm.
because it's hard to commit to things for me. So
Mhm.
I have like my big milestone goals. Like my next thing, like that I'll consider myself successful is when I can get a new horse that I can ride again. Or I have
Really?
I have non-professional goals because I want to be more than just a lawyer. And I think that is really important. And it's hard not to do because lawyers love to talk about being lawyers,
Well,
right?
also people want to put us in a box. Like I've
Yeah.
tried experimenting with some things, because I really love legal news and all the big cases going on. And we love making fun videos about it. And
They
most
freak
people seem
out.
to like it, but
Yeah.
I had people freaking out like, oh, what are you, TMZ now? Like,
Which makes me so mad for you because we don't share only celebrity cases. We talk about like the UPS driver who died in his truck.
I
Like,
talk about everything.
yeah,
And
it
it's
makes
like,
me so upset when they say that. It's
Yeah.
like we talk about everything.
like, bro, do you play pickleball on weekends? Like that, am I not allowed to have things that I like to do? You
Yeah.
know?
I think it's a little different for my community because I share more personal things. So
Mhm.
they kind of go along for the ride when I do different things.
Yeah. I've struggled to figure out ways to invite people into my personal life the way you have. I think what
you
you've
should
done
do a
is very
Q&A.
brave. I would do I did the TikTok lives for a while and I think I might do them again.
I did not like doing those. They just stressed me out.
They're a lot and the payoff is really little, but I like
Yeah.
the podcasting because I felt like this was a chance for people to see another side of me through my
Yeah.
conversations with interesting people and dear
Get to
friends.
know you.
Yeah. And they get to know you better too.
Yeah,
Like-
well, all works out. I think you would be surprised how much people would like to know about you personally.
That's really sweet. I'm going to reflect on
And
that.
it's hard to share it because
Yeah.
it's so vulnerable, and I like overshare everything. So take this with a grain of salt, but people really do want to know those things. It makes you a person and
I appreciate
they like
it.
that.
Like if anyone wants to interview me, I'm down. I tend to get really emotional because I'm kind of like what you and I discussed. I think we were off the air where my memories of my past are very emotion driven. I have trouble
Same.
sometimes remembering the
Me
plot
too.
and the details, but I remember the emotions. Like just talking briefly of my firefighting experience with you, some of the upsetting memories, my hands were shaking and I get
Yeah.
teared up. I'm a very emotional guy. So I don't know if someone wants to interview me, I guess I'm down, but I always
think-
felt like
Yeah.
my strength was just knowing good people like you and bringing you in and
I need
having
to
a
come out here one
conversation.
time and I'll just interview you and ask you everyone's questions they can submit. Actually, people did send me a lot of questions that they wanted answers to if you ever want to go through them.
Do you want to do
They were
one?
like, when you do the show, yeah, let me pull one up.
Let's knock one out right now. And then
Okay.
I think we got to wrap up.
It might take me a second to
Yeah.
pull this up too.
Drew, are we good?
Yeah, 2
Yeah. Okay. Boss says we're good.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah,
when these red lights are on, he's the boss.
So these are all the questions people sent me when I
what's a
said I
good
was
one?
going to be on
Let's
here
get
that
one
they
out
wanted
here.
you to
Let's
do it. So someone has a good question. What about filing a claim with the EEOC while you're still employed?
Oh, you can do that. It's protected. You can't be retaliated against for it. It's a little scary when you do it because we've had that happen in our cases, and then we actually had a case where the boss actually sent people to our clients who are like, hey, what's it going to take to work this out? That is awesome. That means they're scared and you have a claim.
Also unethical.
Yeah. But here's the thing with those EEOC claims. I don't know how it is in your state and your practice area. For me, there's the EEOC, that's the federal agency. Then there's the DFEH, that's the state agency. I think you should talk to a lawyer before you file anything.
Agree, 100%.
Understand your options, because sometimes going to the federal agency for discrimination is not your best move.
For
Sometimes
California, no.
Sometimes we want to avoid it altogether and go straight to court. Sometimes you have a class action. You don't even know it. Sometimes you have claims that you didn't like. I have people come to me and they say, hey, my paycheck's screwed up. By the way, my boss is doing XYZ. And I go, oh my God, they denied you maternity leave when you qualified for it. You don't have a $700 wage claim. You have a 6-figure discrimination claim. That's why it's really important to talk to a lawyer.
And I'm with you. Talk with them before you file something, because a lot of people don't know that things you filed become public record after the charge is closed. So those can all be admissions that you didn't know. You could kill your motivating factor standard because you put a laundry list of complaints in your own charge you wrote, and now you just killed your own case. But you can still, I file them. A lot of lawyers won't file them for people that are still employed. But I do, and sometimes they pay them to leave. It depends on the facts.
If they're employed, it depends on the facts.
It depends on the facts.
It does. You just gave me a great idea. I think that we should wrap this up. Please tell everyone who you are, where to find you, where to get more Lawyer Paige, and then I think we should do a Q&A on a separate episode.
I think that would be great.
All right. All right. Where do people find you, Paige?
Okay. So my name is Paige Sparks. I am on Instagram, I think as _Paige Sparks. I'm on TikTok as Lawyer Paige, which was like, that's how early I was to the game. I got Lawyer Paige on TikTok. So that's where I am on media. I don't do I do informational only. I'm not going to give you legal advice on social media. Please always talk with a lawyer in your state, because I can't do everything, just like you can't do everything. But those are kind of where you can dip your toe in the water and kind of learn about your employment rights.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming out, Paige. Really glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right.
Can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then I go